December 16th, 2025 school board workshop. And I know we have some guests that will be entering shortly, but in the meantime, I'm going to hand it over to our new vice chair, board member Atkinson.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll invite Bus Patrol America to come in first,
Excuse me.
and they'll be presenting on the bus stop arm. I guess you're playing the drums like they did at the intermission.
Good morning, everyone. Where should we sit? Hi, good morning.
Here's your remote.
Can I sit here?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's sit.
Okay.
If you want.
I'm Donnie Wolf, everyone. Nice to meet you. Good morning. Okay.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, Marissa Amato, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so.
So if we could one more time just go around the room with him.
Of course, yeah. Sure. My name's Donnie Wolf. I'm the Vice President of Bus Patrol, born and raised in Florida, and just really happy to have this opportunity to talk to you about child safety and a potential partnership. So thank you.
Marissa Amato, Senior Government Relations Manager for Bus Patrol, also Florida native, born and raised in Polk County, Florida.
And I'm Steve Randazzo. I'm our Chief Growth Officer. I oversee all sales, marketing, and government relations. I'm not a native Floridian, but I'm a recent transplant, so I'm enjoying the warm weather and higher quality of life, let's say. Yeah, I brought my family. I'm from Long Island, New York originally, like a lot of Floridians eventually at one point or another were up there. Really proud that we have the opportunity to chat with everyone here today and show you why, when it comes to experience, technology, and just the way we service you in this hyper-local way is really best in class on every single aspect of this really critical student safety program. I would be remiss if I didn't call out, though, that we're a local-based company. So the folks, unlike a lot of the other providers out there, we have a local-based team, folks who live in Florida, who would be working and living in the Charlotte County area, installing and servicing the school bus fleet, which is not to be understated. That local service approach makes a huge difference between just some of the other ways you could go about doing this program. All right. So I'm happy to get into it if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so big picture. Bus Patrol is by far the most trusted, most deployed school bus stop arm enforcement services provider in the nation. We are currently on about 42,000 school buses across 24 states. Now, I want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. We don't have camera systems for non-stop arm cameras on 42,000 buses. I'm talking about actual bona fide school bus stop arm enforcement systems on 42,000 school buses. So there's no sleight of hand there. We always offer free interior cameras on for all of our customers. And that is a tremendous savings and value add to the school district. It's not an upcharge. There's no fine print. You don't pay for installation. You don't pay for maintenance. You don't pay for data connectivity. That's something that we believe the school district should be out of the business of paying for going forward through a Bus Patrol partnership. So it has tremendous cost savings benefits, but also safety benefits for the district. Of all the school districts that use Bus Patrol, about 35,000 of those buses have opted into our free interior cameras. So I'm more than happy to provide you with references from school boards across the state of Florida and around the nation. And that goes for school leadership, that goes for school transportation, that goes for the administration and cabinet, and so on and so forth. We really specialize in large fleet programs. We have 16 programs over 800 buses in fleet size where we install and operate stop arm cameras on every single school bus, because we believe that in our mission, which is to make the ride to and from school safer for all kids, there's a sense of student safety equity embedded in that mission. We have Florida expertise. It's not just that we live here and work here. We know the law like the back of our hand. We were part of the coalition that spearheaded back in 2023 the passage of the state law that enabled this technology for school districts and school boards to adopt these programs. So there's just no expert on this technology, on this law, on the complexities of the program that surpass Bus Patrol. And I'm not saying that in a sales capacity, I'm saying that as a fact. We revolutionize this idea of full fleet. Again, just going back to our mission, we don't believe in cherry picking routes for profit. We believe all kids are equally deserving of a safer ride to and from school. So that's the experience bucket. But on technology, again, it's not, to be cute, I say it's not Pepsi versus Coke. It's truly not. It's not like we all just have cameras and, there's a company that bids a little bit lower, so, they're the best. It's our detection technology leverages a different detection technology than other providers have. So we use, since 2017, we've been coding a proprietary AI-based system that detects more lanes of traffic, that detects more violations, and that is, we've already done the pilot, right? I mean, I think it's public record that we scored the highest on the pilot in terms of the raw score. We detect more violations than any other provider. The most camera views, the best law enforcement experience, the most extras. I think from just an experience and technology perspective, Bus Patrol, part of the reason why we're so overwhelmingly selected is those two buckets. But again, the third bucket is that unmatched local approach, local commitment. The folks who work at Bus Patrol, if we were to ever be so honored to serve you, we don't just win a contract and then sub out the install work. We actually hire local folks who live in the community. We have a commitment to internships and apprenticeships with the school district for high-rising juniors and seniors. And then we also have that kind of follow-through to local workforce development. So just a different approach than your typical kind of camera vendor that you kind of buy systems from and then you never hear from again. Really lightning fast installs. We do up to 1,000 installs per month. So dare I say, if you ever did want to go with us, I think we can get you up and running in January. That's how sure I am that we could serve you and take you live with the most professionalism and integrity and excellence compared to any other provider in the market. We also have a world-class education program. So it's like so much more than cameras. We have a world-class media and marketing campaign where we do public service announcements, custom videos.
Should we pause for a minute?
No, you're fine, keep going.
Okay.
We do custom videos, custom materials for the school district, stuff for your school website, parent letters. We have a call center that we staff, right? So it's like so much beyond the cameras and the ticketing on the education side. And then on the back end, we have wonderful monthly reporting where we show you where all the violation hotspots are. We work with your community to do targeted interventions beyond the ticketing to further drive down the dangerous behavior. So that's kind of the Bus Patrol difference in a nutshell. I mentioned our mission. It's really what motivates folks at Bus Patrol every day to get up out of bed and come work here. We're 500 strong. I mentioned Marissa and myself both having public sector experience. I was a former New York City public school teacher where I taught math and social studies in the South Bronx for a number of years. As an Army officer in the New York Army National Guard for 8 years, and then a county official in my home county of Suffolk County, Long Island. What I will always say is that the toughest job I ever had, though, in life, the most exhausting job I ever had in life was a public school teacher. So I don't know if we have any former school teachers on the board, but
She just
thank you
went.
for your service. I was 22, 23 years old. I remember like all my friends were out in New York City, like, oh, you want to go out? And I'm like, I got a lesson plan and I'm exhausted. I got to go do this again. And Marissa has fabulous Florida legislative experience. That's what you get with Bus Patrol. You kind of get folks who are the full total package. I mean, the amount of years she worked in the state legislature for the former Senate president and now the CFO of the state of Florida. Like with Bus Patrol, you get so much more than just like a camera provider. You have like a public affairs team, a media team, a technology and coding team. It's really more of a program than just like cameras we're selling you. I mentioned some of our bus patrollers. We're 500 strong. We come from the military, teaching, law enforcement, business, finance, technology, coding, etc. I do think it's worth pointing out our unrivaled Florida experience. Right? Anyone can say, yeah, I did a pilot on 2 buses, or I do interior cameras on buses. It's apples to oranges to administer a turnkey stop arm camera program given all of the legal complexities in Florida. That's why districts overwhelmingly select Bus Patrol. We won 3 competitive RFPs. The only competitive large fleet RFPs ever issued in Florida, Bus Patrol has won them all. I'm going to show you the scoring. Duval County, Hillsborough County, and Broward County. The pricing was so, like the vendors have already kind of given their best offers and pricings to these large districts, so now other districts are taking advantage of that pricing and those terms and conditions through a legally permissible contracting opportunity called piggybacking. I'm sure you're mostly familiar with doing piggybacking. And so I'm not sure that, and I'll get into this in a second, I don't think that other providers have a legally permissible way of being procured by the district outside an RFP, because we've won all of the RFPs that resulted in stop arm camera contracts that the district has the opportunity to piggyback from. So it's a little bit of in the weeds on procurement, but I actually think that's an important detail. But we've had a number of districts that move from other vendors because they had them maybe in the early 2000s, and they've switched to Bus Patrol over the last year or two. Places like Austin, Texas, Providence, Rhode Island, Virginia Beach, a number of districts in New York. So overwhelmingly, new school districts that have never done this program are selecting Bus Patrol, and school districts that have maybe done this 10, 15 years in the past are pivoting to Bus Patrol because of our technology, our experience, and our local approach. Not Pepsi versus Coke. So again, I want to talk about the things, I don't know why that came up like that, but these are Bus Patrol only differences. It's no upfront or out-of-pocket cost ever. You don't pay for the cameras. You don't pay for us to install. You don't pay for the maintenance. You don't pay for us to come in to do a service visit. There's no warranties, right? There's no fine print where a year later the camera's out of service and we say, ha, you're out of luck. For the life of the program, we always install and maintain the systems, and it's that local approach. We don't wait for you to call us. We don't wait for Tony to say, hey, a camera's down. When can you come in? Can you send someone in within the next month? We're the ones calling Tony saying, we see a camera's down. When can we come in and fix it? That's the hyper-local approach and attention and white glove service you get with Bus Patrol. Free interior cameras, to be unequivocal. I know of no other provider that has ever given out free interior cameras in this industry's history. So if other people are offering it now, that's news to me. I'm really happy that other people are kind of following the Bus Patrol trend. But just to be clear, they've never done it before. There are no other providers that I know of, it being considered right now, that have ever mailed a stop arm camera ticket, that have ever collected payment on behalf of the district for this turnkey program, that have ever administered a stop arm camera violation court hearing. Like that experience really, really matters when it comes to district embarking on this new program that has tons of legal complexity. So I just want you to know, with Bus Patrol, no on-the-job training. We know exactly what we're doing on day one. The AI detection. We also, for law enforcement, we have a special camera in the front of the bus. No one else offers this. So think about like when the violation is detected, we detect the violation, it goes through our review process, and then it gets transmitted automatically through our portal to the sheriff's office. They get to log in through the comfort of their desktop or their laptop in their office and watch the video and make an independent determination. It's all automated through Bus Patrol. Through Bus Patrol, they get a special front-facing camera because sometimes the decision to cite someone is a really critical decision. It's $225. A lot of people, like that's a big ticket for people to even afford. So law enforcement wants to be confident that the people that they're citing, that a real violation occurred. So we have this front-facing camera that sees several hundred yards down the road, and I know for certain no one else offers that camera view. So basically, with anyone else, law enforcement's gonna be logging in and just seeing the side of the bus, which has missing context for the front and back of the bus. We give a 360 view that's synchronized video, which is unequivocally the best law enforcement experience for actually reviewing and processing and issuing these citations. We also have right side cameras. Florida law, the state DOE requires right side cameras in every bus. We never had to reconfigure our system. We've always had right side cameras. There's an alarming trend of people passing on the door side. Like literally on a student's like stoop or curb, and so we have cameras that detect violations on the door side as well. We don't cheap out on the installs. We do it all on the inside paneling of the school bus. It's almost like we were never there. It's an incredible team we built that do install and maintenance. And there's just like, let me just be unequivocal. Zero admin operations lift from the school district. You don't have to really lift a finger with Bus Patrol as your partner. That's really why a lot of folks go with Bus Patrol.
Steve, quick question.
Anything.
Concerning technology, it's always moving, it's always improving. If Charlotte County got the system this year and the system was upgraded in another county, will we always have the best system as the company progresses with technology?
Absolutely yes. The best metaphor I could give you is like the iPhone. It's like you buy the iPhone and they come out with the next version like 6 months later and you're like, I should have waited. So that's the thing about our program is we call it evergreen. So you have about 125 buses, I think, give or take. So every time you decommission buses, let's say you decommission 10 or 15 a year or something like that, 10% of your fleet. We come in and uninstall the systems at our cost. Again, there's no hidden fee to come in and uninstall the bus. We return it to a like new state. And then the new ones that you buy that roll into your lots, Tony just lets us know, hey, I've got 10 new buses coming in June. Want to outfit these? We just give you the latest and greatest version of our tech. Any other questions on that?
Got a question from Jeff. What is the average cost of installation of that interior camera they're talking about per bus, do you know?
10,000. Correct, Tony, 10,000.
Yes.
Yeah, we believe you should be out of the business of paying for interior cameras, service, maintenance, again, data. Think about all the cellular connectivity and Wi-Fi that you pay for on buses, all goes away with Bus Patrol. That's why I'm saying it's apples to oranges. I want to get into this because I'm a policy nerd, so I just own it. There's a very complex hearing process in the state of Florida. Florida legislature just passed a new law this year changing the school bus camera hearing process that the district is responsible for. Bus Patrol pays for that, right? So again, I don't know if
Yeah,
other.
Can you run through that?
I can get into that. I have a slide or two about that.
Okay,
Let me
I'm
get to
interested
that.
in for sure.
But again, hotspot reporting, custom campaign, call center. Again, I don't know if anyone has a fully staffed call center. So you go with another provider that you buy cameras from, and it's like you're going to get hundreds of calls, right? Like we're the experts. We do this all across the country on 42,000 buses across 24 states, including 5,000 buses and counting in the state of Florida. It's like the Jetsons versus the Flintstones. That's just what I'm gonna say. And I'm not saying that in a sales capacity. I'm saying that because call all of the other school districts. Call Hillsborough County. Call Miami-Dade. Call, Virginia Beach. Go out of state even. Ask them how Bus Patrol compares to the other providers. It's not close. RFPs. This is a public document. We have scored first in every competitive large fleet RFP in the state of Florida. Some of the other vendors that are being considered, to the best of my knowledge, have not scored higher than 5th place. Not second, not third, not fourth, in 3 separate RFPs. So you now have multiple RFPs where this has been independently, competitively vetted around the state, and Bus Patrol always has risen to the top. And therefore, again, from a legal and compliance and procurement perspective, I don't think any other vendor has an in-state piggybackable contract other than Bus Patrol. There's actually a Florida state law that says you are not allowed to procure any sort of out-of-state contract or cooperative agreement for automated enforcement. It's a new Florida law, so I'm just not clear on the procurement method for another provider at this time other than Bus Patrol. Happy to walk you through the way the citation life cycle works, but again, people think like the cameras spit out tickets. That is not actually the case. We capture the violation. We have an AI engine. We call her Ava. No one else has an Ava that uses AI for violation detection. It's very, 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 very sophisticated. You can't buy it off the shelf. We then process evidence and do quality review. We do 2 levels of human review at Bus Patrol. We pre-screen the violation evidence before it actually gets transmitted to law enforcement. So we check, we actually have law enforcement fill out what's called a business rules questionnaire. The law enforcement agency fills it out and they give us their enforcement guidelines. So think about it as like Ava detects the violation, then we check 2 times against the sheriff's office's enforcement policies. Only then do we transmit it, all electronically, all in an automated fashion, online to our secure web-based portal, and then law enforcement has the job of reviewing the video and making a determination in our system. If they approve the violation, we take care of all the rest. We mail it, we pay for the printing, postage, payment collection, we remit that payment to the school district because by law it's the district's funds. And then we do all the hearing work as well. If someone wants to request a hearing, we schedule people for their hearing. We do docket preparation, expert testimony, scheduling, the whole 9 yards. Other folks under consideration, to the best of my knowledge, have literally never done that once. Not in Florida, not in any other state. I won't belabor the point, but as a policy nerd, I would be remiss if I didn't point out our monthly reporting. This is the secret sauce to changing driver behavior. It's not just about education, that's really important. It's not just about ticketing. There are some knuckleheads who don't learn their lesson until they get a ticket in the mail. But knowledge is power. All of the wonderful reporting that we provide you is a game changer to be able to, for Tony and his team, to make more thoughtful route planning decisions in future years. You can change school bus stops, you can reroute buses, you could do targeted intervention. So we really, really believe in the reporting capabilities at Bus Patrol to help make the road safer beyond the ticket. And I have an example of the Miami-Dade transportation director, Jimmy Hicks. He actually recorded a video for this presentation. He moved 2 school bus stops that were hotspots in Miami-Dade. And in 2 days, those 2 stops saw a 33% reduction in violations in 2 days. That's the stuff that doesn't show up in the pricing or the sales pitches, right? It's the way we service folks in this hyper-local mindset beyond the ticket. You get a dedicated customer service team. You have an account executive, that would be Donnie. We match subject matter experts with experts at the company. So we have all former law enforcement, and they're the folks who interact with the sheriff's office. We have all former transportation, and they interact with Tony and the transportation team. We have even finance people who deal with the school finance folks around invoicing. So you get this suite of subject matter experts that's dedicated to your program. And again, I just will say it over and over again because I really know it and believe it. No one else serves you in this way. So again, local Florida offices, the local internships and apprenticeships with Charlotte County students, the local jobs, the local installs, the custom tailored education and engagement that we do with your community. We again, just talk to some of your colleagues. We talk to folks like Patty Rendon in Hillsborough County. We do so much more than just the ticket. We do so many community events, holiday events, back to school events, backpack drives, charitable events. We really, I get to say this because like I used to work in government, but like I cringe at like the word vendor. We're not a government vendor. We are a partner. That is what we aspire to be in every community around the state and around the country. So much so that we do a whole student curriculum every October during National School Bus Safety Week. I don't know if you guys make a big deal about that, but we visited over 40 classrooms. We did a bunch of school assemblies around the country. We distributed over 1,000 workbooks and 10,000 worksheets. We recognized 500 school bus drivers just this October alone. So we believe the children also have a role to play in safety, right? Because they're all unfortunately staring at their phones crossing the street. So we teach kids about the danger zone. We teach kids about giving the bus driver a thumbs up. And so we have an age-appropriate student curriculum for the kids if you'll ever have us in the classroom one day. And we did wonderful stuff all across the state of Florida this past year. Just ask some of your peers in some of the other counties. Happy to nerd out about the Florida law. I know it like the back of my hand. You asked about hearings. Let's get into it. SB 462 passed unanimously this year in the Florida legislature. It is now the law of the land. The court of competent jurisdiction used to be the county traffic court. It is now transformed to a locally administered hearing process that the school district is responsible for. Nobody else has figured it out other than Bus Patrol. We're already live with our virtual hearings in Hillsborough, Brevard, and Lee County. We have a unique partnership with the Division of Administrative Hearings. You might know them as DOA. DOA has administrative law judges that we've built out a whole wonderful process with them that's a virtual hearing that we fund, so the school district does not come out of pocket or have to truly in the logistical sense administer this. Bus Patrol has figured it out. So we have a partnership with DOA, and basically when people get their notice of violation that we mail to them, they have the ability to pay, transfer liability, or request a hearing. And then if they request a hearing, it comes back to us, and then we have that partnership with DOA where we schedule people and we give them virtual hearings. I love that process because I think about equity and people who actually can't afford to take off a day from work to go contest their ticket, but they still deserve their day in court. So I love that we do Zoom hearings because it's like you can walk in, you can log in, take a break from work and be done with your hearing in 15 minutes, and your due process has been upheld. So I love that we've built out this wonderful world-class, nobody else has it. Ask the other counties, they don't have it. Virtual hearing process that's all built out with DOA already. We can turn that on in day one. Everyone else is still figuring it out and has no process in place.
I can tell you, I've got serious heartburn with your involvement to that level with an administrative process.
Mm-hmm.
Your job shouldn't be that. That should be the administrative job and the job of law enforcement and local authorities to do that. I find a serious overlap here and a serious concern in your level of what you're telling me. You're involved in the process. Being a criminal defense attorney for the last 35 years, it just doesn't sound right. It doesn't smell good.
Yeah, would you mind if I just responded, because it's a fair point. And I probably should have used this word. We only involve ourselves in ministerial aspects of the program. So if someone receives a notice of violation, we don't decide who gets one or who doesn't. We are, this is pretty standard around the state. We are only building evidence packages that comply with Florida law and the sheriff's office's business rules. That they're imposing those on us, saying, when this happens, send it over. When this doesn't happen, dismiss it.
So the earlier statement said you built the original process in these areas for the administrative process.
But would you mind if I finish, just if you'll indulge me, please? Because no, I understand the point. It's an important one. But I want to walk you through holistically. Bus Patrol never acts in a discretionary manner during enforcement. And I want to get to the hearings, but enforcement, check any law enforcement agency. Bus Patrol makes no decision about who is cited and who isn't. On the flip side, around the hearing, we were responding to a rapidly evolving regulatory environment, right? What you probably deal with this for lots of other things too. The state imposes some change, and now you're stuck with a new law that you have to implement quickly. And what I'm saying is we collaborated with our local partners, with law enforcement, with school board attorneys, like folks like Jeff Gibson up in Hillsborough County as their school board attorney. And we together created a process wherein people's due process could be enabled, and the school district wouldn't have to bear cost and do the heavy lifting, right? Like, it makes no difference if like you lick the envelope and schedule someone, hire someone else in staff, and you know, they're monitoring a computer all day and saying, all right, Mrs. McGillicuddy's got a hearing at 9 and Mrs. Jones is at 9:15. We're simply scheduling people, and then we have to, it's our system, so we have to, sometimes we get called in for, the administrative law judge makes us sometimes testify to the efficacy or the calibration of the system. So we actually have to serve as an expert witness during the hearings. So we schedule people, we help to prepare the dockets, because all of that has to be presented for court. So, but the way the hearing works is that it's presided by an administrative law judge. And then a representative from the sheriff's office actually is sort of like the prosecutor, and the person who's contesting the ticket is considered the petitioner. And both parties have the opportunity to kind of give their take on what happened. And then the administrative law judge watches the video and renders a decision. So with all due respect, I respect the critique, but I would also, I would really stand firmly by saying we don't involve ourselves in biasing the decision at all. We literally just take care of all the paperwork, right? After the decision is rendered by the administrative law judge, who mails the notice of hearing? I'm saying as an administrative service, we mail that for you, because otherwise the school district would have to do that and hire someone to go mail that.
You'd agree with me that the higher rate of convictions or fines you collect reflects better on your system and therefore can affect your input.
No, I would say that about the other provider that's offered you a revenue share model. That has been subject to public critique around rooting for more citations. That's actually why we've.
I'm not worried about citations, I'm worried about convictions.
Well, we have no role in the conviction.
But you're controlling the entire creation of the hearing process, is what you've told me.
We had to respond to, I don't mean to be cute, but we had to comply with a state law that was effective upon passage.
Thank you.
That's all.
Can I ask, do you have a good questions answered?
I'm very uncomfortable, but I have an understanding, yes.
So, I was doing some reading about what's been happening down in Miami-Dade and was looking at their board minutes from October.
Mhm.
And it looks like they're gonna be voting soon on a revised process for these administrative hearings.
Correct.
The process that board is considering, is that the same process that you've outlined for us?
Yeah, correct. The state does not require you to use the Division of Administrative Hearings. The state law says the school district must appoint an attorney in good standing with the Florida Bar of at least 5 years. And it essentially, I'm paraphrasing, must administer a local hearing process, and it lays it out point by point. You don't have to do that. You could contract with a local attorney or a local law firm or even use in-house staff. What I'm saying is, and we could accommodate that. No one, Bus Patrol is not saying, if you go with us, you must follow our DOA process. I'm simply to
You're saying if we do,
Kim's
there'll be
point.
no charge?
we will bear those administrative costs, and we've built out a system that other school districts are taking advantage of, being Hillsborough, Lee, Brevard, and Miami-Dade as on the 5-yard line. The school board put out an item to make the superintendent explore DOA. They just came back this past week, and DOA said they would take them on, and now they're working out the kinks with the sheriff to be able to administer that process. So you already have a contract with DOA? It's about, if you wanted to go this route, again, no one's forcing you to, but you pay a state rate of $211 per hour for DOA to do work for the school district. On average, DOA does about 6 hearings an hour, so the way we work out the math, we kind of have a formula to make that no cost to the district. I mentioned the interior cameras. Again, we're kind of disrupting this industry, so I know it makes some of the transportation professionals that we meet a little, it's new, it's uncomfortable. I know breakups are hard. I dated a girl for 5 years before I met my wife and my soulmate. So, but we think you should get out of the business of paying for interior cameras. Let us handle that, and through the economies of scale of Bus Patrol, and no one else has really figured that out to this point in time, other than Bus Patrol. So happy to take any questions about the interior cameras, but again, that offer is on the table. Again, the install process really matters. Ask other folks who does the installs. Do you sub out to work? Do you have local folks? Do you have folks who work at your company? How do you vet them? Everyone who ever install or maintain any camera on your buses works for Bus Patrol. And that makes a difference. We are obsessed about quality when it comes to the install process and the preventative maintenance and ongoing maintenance process, and even up to the deinstallation process. So we have Bus Patrol Academy in Chantilly, Virginia. We've bought every single bus type: Thomas's, Bluebirds, Collins, ICs, and even EV vehicles. So every year they change the knob or where a wire is in a bus. So no one will step foot on a Charlotte County bus if you go with Bus Patrol without knowing exactly what they're doing on day one. That's Bus Patrol Academy. And look, again, it's our mission. We believe in equitable student safety, making the ride to and from school safer for all kids. That is our mission. That is literally why Bus Patrol exists. We don't do anything else. We don't have 10 other businesses, and this is sort of like a side hustle. This is our only business. This is our bread and butter. This is what we are subject matter experts on. And we've revolutionized the industry since 2017, so I'm really proud of the footprint. It's not a camera. It's not a ticket. It's a safety program. Everything from installing to mailing to the payment processing to the ministerial court support to the call center to the media campaign that we build out for you for all the training and monthly reporting. Zero cost to district, violator funded. Contractually, you could never come out of pocket. And our proudest statistic of all is that over 90% of folks across all of our programs do not repeat offend. So we are meaningfully changing driver behavior, community by community, bus by bus, student by student. And that's statistically significant data, right? I'm not talking about a 3-bus pilot, we changed behavior, la-di-da. I'm talking about a representative large sample of school buses across 42,000 buses across 24 states since 2017. Under a 10% repeat offender rate. That's way better than the red light cameras and the speed cameras. This is the lowest form of recidivism in all of automated traffic enforcement. And I like to think Bus Patrol has a little bit to do with that. Thank you.
Well, I was just gonna say, thank you, Mr. Randazzo. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you. The presentation was very informative. I've seen you guys at FSBA for years, so it's good to get to see you and hear more about what you guys have to offer. I have a couple of questions, pretty basic questions.
Anything?
The first one is you mentioned the Florida statute that passed this year that we have to use a Florida-based company. Do you know that statute number by chance?
No, you don't have to use a Florida-based company. I'm saying there are 2 statutes. There's one that's 316.0077. And that says that when a community is procuring an automated enforcement provider, you cannot use an out-of-state contract or an out-of-state consortium. Like they kind of have those national cooperatives, like I don't know if you've heard of Sourcewell and things like that. You cannot, HGAC, you cannot use that for procuring a photo enforcement vendor. So again, being that kind of procurement nerd, the way you could procure a vendor in Florida would be do a competitive procurement. Or you can piggyback off of a contract that was awarded competitively within the state of Florida, which I'm saying we have several.
My next question is pretty simple, but how many employees do you guys currently have at Bus Patrol?
A little over 500.
And then how many, like I know Lee County just came on with you guys recently, so how many techs do you have that live in Lee County that service Lee County?
I'd have to get back to you on that, but it's probably a good 10 or so, but I'd have to get back to you on
So
that.
if you contracted with Charlotte County, how many new employees would you have based in Charlotte County for our number of buses?
It wouldn't require that many, probably 1 or 2.
So you create 2 new jobs in our community potentially.
Well, that's just for the techs though, right? Again, we have law enforcement liaisons, we have account managements, we have finance
And
folks.
all be Charlotte based?
Charlotte-based, yes.
Where do you live, Donnie?
I live in Miami-Dade.
Thank you.
Miami
You're
as
welcome.
well.
I'm Broward County.
Thank you.
I have a specific question about the interior cameras.
Sure.
So, we have a pretty robust interior camera system now. So with the no cost to the district, would it be comparable to what we are using now? And maybe you don't know exactly what we have, but, when it comes to student safety, interior safety is also just important to us. So how would that interior camera be in comparison to what we have now?
Good question. So I want to say first, just to clear the record, you don't have to opt into our interior cameras. It's not an upsell, and we have lots of arrangements where the school district either doesn't take us up on it or does, and we install side by side with your interior cameras now, so you could have more cameras and more redundancy. So there's many options to choose from. We've done no interior cameras, we've done side by side, and we've also done rip outs if you want, or just maybe your new buses, every 5 or 10 buses you buy in the future.
I guess the question I think is, on a new bus.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's comparable to what we have now?
Certainly, but I mean, Tony could probably speak to that best, but what I could tell you is that we offer live view. So you could live view into any bus, so long as the school bus is on, you could live view into that bus. 2, you have the ability to retrieve the video through an electronic portal. So Tony and his team, if Johnny gets into a fight and Johnny's mom calls the principal and somehow it gets to Tony, Tony has an electronic portal that he can request bus footage from the bus patrol cameras off the bus directly without actually having to go physically retrieve that off the bus. So it's a nice time and efficiency saver for the district. And then thirdly, we give you kind of the classic way where you can go pull it. If there's a major incident, you gotta go pull 4 hours of footage, we give you a tablet, a dongle, and all the tools to be able to go pull that at a moment's notice if you need to. So I wouldn't think your experience would change, but I don't exactly know what package you pay for now.
Before you go to the next one, so do our current cameras have live view?
Yes. One camera at a time. Because the bandwidth that they're talking about is done cellular. So you can only look at one, you can't look at all 8.
For both?
And we download video the same way that they do, wirelessly.
Okay.
We go to a portal.
And does law enforcement have access to that live view?
Only ours, no. Not only when we grant it.
They'd have to, yeah, right, exactly.
We have
But
to-
you could grant that.
Yes.
We,
Okay.
I'm much more comfortable with the ability to grant it than free access to law enforcement personally.
I'm just thinking about, I always think the worst thing if something bad happened. I mean, our sheriff's office now has that Arctic system that many people
Exactly.
around town have taken advantage of.
Well, and let me add, we've had law enforcement agencies with our partners across the state want to have that unfettered access. And, every time that conversation comes up, we say this footage and the cameras are owned by the school district. That's the relationship that you would have with the school district and between you all, right? But with that, Miami-Dade case in point with Jimmy, they've pulled footage over 200 times in the span of a year, interior camera footage. They have a good working relationship with Miami-Dade PD, now the sheriff's office, but the sheriff's office has to request that footage, and then together they work together for investigations where incidents began on the school bus and then later would have, kind of carried out after.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Do Do you have some, Bob? So I did speak with my counterparts in several other districts. And I think a lot of the questions you did answer, but let me just go through my list here. Okay, so we handle the whole DOA process, which would be, if we use your process, then there's no cost to us.
You would not come out of pocket for the hearing process with a bus patrol partnership.
And we would not have to like hire a staff person to mail citations.
Not
Or
if you go
collect
with bus
payments.
patrol.
And you're currently actively operating, I think I counted like 5 districts, Miami-Dade, Broward, Duval.
Duval and Broward were RFPs that we're implementing now and into the early,
So you're installing.
yeah,
Okay.
we're not live in Broward or Duval because those are recent RFPs, but the school district wants to go live early next year. And those are really big fleets, 950 and 1300.
And I read today in the news that Lee has had like their first month of operation.
Yeah,
We have
700
actually over
buses.
1,700 citations.
Quite a few.
Okay, and no cost for the interior cameras, no cost for installation, connectivity. Let's say we terminate the contract, what would be the termination cost of, say we're with you for a year and we change our mind? Would there be a termination cost?
That's a good question. I mean, it's kind of best hashed out by all of the attorneys, but I mean, it depends if you're terminating for convenience or you're terminating for cause. If you think about what Bus Patrol does is we outfit the buses at our expense, right? So that's kind of the no upfront cost proposition. What we have to, I think, and it's reasonable as a business that we have to protect against is, let's just say a week later, we fronted all the capital for the systems and the installs and we sent crews here, and then you're like, for no fault of Bus Patrol, you were like, we just don't want to do this anymore. We just have language in there that we negotiate with the school board attorney about just a reasonable reimbursement to uninstall the systems at that point.
Now with Lee County, did they have you outfit all of their buses with interior? Okay, so not just new buses as they're adding them on. Okay,
Every district that we partner with in Florida has opted for our free interior cameras.
on every.
Miami-Dade never actually had them in their history. 1,000+ buses never had interior cameras. We were really proud to be able to provide those to Dade for the first time in their district's history.
When you think how much time?
Yeah.
Okay, and I've seen the contract that you have with Hillsborough that we can piggyback on.
Yeah.
You have safety and education programs. You're certified by the state of Florida to issue citations, that's part of that whole DOA process.
And it's
You kinda
beyond
skipped a little
DOA.
bit over that weedy part on that slide of what it takes, like not just anybody can come in and be issuing citations.
It's worth spending a second on. So first, we have a system where we have integrations into all 50 state DMVs, right? So think about when law enforcement is reviewing the video. What we have in our system is we already tag the make and model and registered owner of the vehicle because we have all these lookup services integrated with Bus Patrol. So if someone's driving in from Alabama, that's like walking in the park for Bus Patrol. That all comes up automated on the screen. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think other folks have that DMV lookup service for all 50 states, which is important. You want to be able to police violations in state and out of state. 2, we have a special integration with Florida HSMV where we have all the most accurate and up-to-date vehicle registrations in the state of Florida that we're pulling for Florida drivers. And that is a months-long integration process that I know of no other provider that actually has completed that integration. And then there's a third integration that you have to do with HSMV to be what's called an e-citation vendor. So when someone gets one of these tickets in the mail, it's called a notice of violation. If you take no action after 60 days, it morphs into what's called a UTC, a Uniform Traffic Citation. Well, in order to be an e-citation vendor for the state of Florida, you have to do 9 months of structure testing with HSMV, and they have to give you formal approval You have to be sponsored by the sheriff's office, and then they have to basically do a cavity search of your company. You have to do development work, integration work. And I just don't know of any other provider that is an e-certification vendor today that you're considering to launch you anytime this year. And anyone who tells you differently doesn't actually know the work that it takes to launch your program.
So, you know, we were talking about a timeline of getting this up and running for next school year, whichever vendor we go with, fall of '26. You're fully prepared to, how much, I guess, how many months would you need to implement and have us up and running by August of '26?
We can
Actually,
launch,
let's say July, because we have a couple of year-round schools.
we could launch your program in January on every bus if you wanted to. Not 27, 26. But, so, you tell us the month, we will be fully installed and ready to go. I promise you that.
Okay, you answered all my questions.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, no, thanks for the time.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, give me a chance.
Our pleasure. Yeah, definitely.
We took them high. Yeah.
Nice to make it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Donnie.
Good to see you all.
Enjoy your trip back to
Thank you so much.
Miami.
Thank you.
witness, and at this point, we will bring in our next presenter. This is Sion Safe. Good morning. If you could please just go around and introduce yourselves.
I'm Joe Allen, I'm the Director of Sales for Seon Safely.
Yep, Mike Hagan, I'm the president of Seon Safely.
Julian Jimenez, Senior Product Manager.
Morning.
Good morning.
Jump right into it.
Go jump in, go.
All
Alright, perfect. So we want to start off and just kind of give you a little overview of who we are as Safely, and then you probably know us best through video systems and some of our electromechanical products as Seon and specialty manufacturing. But simply, we provide safety, security, and productivity solutions across a lot of different fleet types, but really born in the school bus industry and focused on student transportation and student safety. And again, now we're part of Clariance Technologies, which again is a larger entity that also serves the truck and trailer and general transportation markets. Go to the next slide. Here, I mean, just simply in terms of mobile video, that's something we've been a solution provider since the actually late 80s, early 90s in law enforcement and then student transportation and then mass transit. We've got a little over 1.5 million systems installed. We have one platform that we're going to talk about here in a moment that handles not only video but digital evidence management, which then also enables violation detection and the stop arm violation enforcement. Footprint-wise, we're all across the U.S. With respect to school bus, we make a lot of our products, stop arms, cross arms, roof hatches in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have our R&D center in Vancouver, British Columbia. And then we have a distribution service and support center in Houston, Texas that primarily support your school district. You go to the next slide. Hopefully you get a chance to watch the video. If you haven't, I think it just shows you that we are really focused on having a deep working knowledge of the fleets we serve, working with the customers, our customers, to provide really integrated safety and productivity solutions. You talk about our history, specialty manufacturing started in the 1970s providing stop arms. And from stop arms came roof hatches, cross arms. In the 90s, we really got into a lot of different forms of illumination, strobe lighting, additional warning lights on the school bus. And then we also started to introduce video, first with the VHS and then into digital video recorders. Seon was actually founded in 1999. So we've been providing that ecosystem of products since '99. As kind of electromechanical and video came together, we really saw while there was a huge reduction in illegal pass-bys and student injuries around the vehicle, we felt there was a need to do more. And so we really formed an advanced technology group that takes all of our video technology, all of our electromechanical products together to create one ecosystem. And that first manifested in a predictive stop arm system where we're actually deploying radar, looking down the road to say, is there a vehicle approaching, and will that vehicle ultimately stop in time? And then it gives an opportunity to alert the student and the bus driver to warn them of impending danger. At that same time period, we were doing manual stop arm violation with our video systems. And then in 2017, that same group, we started working on license plate recognition technology. So basically our onboard DVR and computer can recognize a vehicle and a license plate. And at that point in time, we were able to automate the stop arm violation. We're actually deploying that license plate technology in school bus, law enforcement, and then mass transit. Simple slide here kind of shows you the different verticals or fleet types we serve. But to the left, you really see that inner light blue band, all of our core competencies that we have, from basic electrical and mechanical to basically the full cloud infrastructure, hardware and software development. We have our own team of hardware designers, our software development's all in-house, and then we host all of our applications internally. So that's all our proprietary technology. When you look at this, there's a lot on the page, but I hit a lot. When you look on the left-hand side, you've got our video solutions. So again, interior, exterior cameras, recorders, anywhere from 4 to 16 different channels. All of that video then or data really needs to come off the vehicle. We can do that manually, we can do that wirelessly, and and we now have a new cloud platform that allows you to manage that all centrally here at the school district. That includes live streaming, vehicle location, all the associated data when you have a safety or security incident in your fleet. And then it really makes it very easy to then expand the stop arm violation enforcement system. The platform was actually that we built was built to serve both law enforcement, school, and transit. So that's kind of that at a high level. We'll jump into that a little bit more later. And then our illegal passing suite, again, we've got 360-degree view cameras all the way around the vehicle as an option. We've got our predictive stop arm I just mentioned. And then we do have a stop arm now that in addition to all the different lighting options, we actually backlight the words STOP to help bring more attention to the driver as to what to do. We also have what we call a driver alert sign that goes on the back of the bus that also continues to educate the driving public that the bus is stopping and that they need to not pass the vehicle when the stop arm's deployed. And then ultimately what we're here to talk about today is all of that coming together in concert, video and electromechanical solutions to really do automated detection and enforcement of stop arm violation. As far as our presence and history, we've been around a really long time. We've been a big supporter here in the state of Florida. Every one of your buses, I think, has at least a stop arm, cross arm, roof hatch from us, and then about 90% of the counties are using our video system in some way, shape, or form. So again, long history, deep working knowledge and understanding of what's important, what you guys need, and to support you on an ongoing basis. We also have about a half dozen employees here in the state that also support these fleets. Other key clients, in addition to school, we've got Orange County, but I mentioned Mass Transit. There's actually Miami and Disney are two large, longstanding customers of ours. When you think nationally, fleets that we serve, New York City Transit or the MTA, that's over 5,000 buses across the city. We do full video, full evidence management, upload. We're also using the same hardware, software, and platform for stop arm violation. We actually use that for bus lane enforcement, and that system is operational in the city of New York. California Highway Patrol, again, using the same evidence management or cloud platform. We support all 2,500 vehicles and all 6,500 officers with in-car video and body-worn cameras. And then the Chicago Police Department, longstanding in-car video customer of ours that we're also using the license plate recognition technology and this platform there. And again, reading a lot of license plates. So this is just a quick visual, I think, really showing you that we've got a cloud platform that serves multiple fleets. We're focused on, again, safety, security, and visibility to help drive or reduce injuries in and around the vehicle. We've got one cloud platform that does evidence management, video management, and all of the telemetry related with the fleet. And that really allows us to build solutions like our SAFES system. And then just to talk a little bit about, when we built the system, we built our platform. It's important to kind of capture the truth, to get it right the first time. But then to be able to share that evidence in a very transparent way. So we've built our system to have, a fully auditable trail of the evidence. Anytime you have video, which ultimately is evidence, that is logged into our system. But basically from the point of creation all the way through its life cycle, we have a chain of custody to make sure that there's a complete record of how that evidence has been managed, who's accessed it, and again, it's fully auditable. One of the other key factors is the system has to always be available and it has to be secure. So we've put a lot of investment into security and compliance. The system is a SOC 2 Type 2 audited annually, and then ISO 27001. We work closely with the state of California and some of their very specific laws, and most all of this is all based on some portion of NIST. The other thing that's maybe unique about us is our staff is all CJIS trained. So anyone who touches or supports the platform has to go through specific training for CJIS compliance. And then we mentioned highway patrol. This is just, I think, a good visual, really showing that we have in-car video, body worn camera, again, vehicle, data being brought off of vehicles to a central location, managed across a large, geography. We've got about 2.5 petabytes of video evidence, 40,000 files that our system's managing in terms of video per day with this one particular customer. And then Julian, if you wanna kind of walk through kind of our overall approach to reducing illegal passing.
Sure, thank you. So as Mike was describing, the stop arm enforcement system was born out of other technologies, and out of the need to detect these types of violations. But just detecting the violations is one step from everything else that we have to do. So what we're doing is we're taking a proactive approach by one, increasing visibility, so with the stop arms with illumination, making sure that the driver can see the school bus and hopefully prevent them from passing the stop arm. The second one is proactive student alerts, so that's one of the other products that alerts the child if there's an oncoming vehicle. So we use that as well in conjunction with the illumination to make sure that not only can the driver see the bus, but also that the child's aware if a vehicle is oncoming. And then the last one to deter future incidents is a stop arm violation enforcement system, which captures evidence and securely uploads it to the cloud. So this is what some of our illumination looks like and some of our signage. So we have the low profile signage behind the school bus. And also, as Mike was mentioning, we have enhanced the regular stop arm to make it more visible and allow better illumination for ultimately for the drivers and everybody that's around the vehicle. Of course, that's just one of the components. They don't prevent it, but it does help, right? It is a core component of ultimately of the school buses. So that's where the proactive approach comes in. Again, is alerting the student if a vehicle is oncoming. That's using radar technology that it's impervious to any lighting conditions, anything else, so it works across the board. And we leverage all these technologies to come up with different applications, different products like Saves, to be able to do all of these ancillary efforts to protect the child around the school bus.
Is that audio then?
Yes,
That's audio.
there is a radar component that does the detection, and then there's an audible, that's actually a recorded voice telling the child to step back if a vehicle is detected that it's oncoming.
There's also a warning light for the bus driver as well.
And this is, just since you asked that question, this is the first time I'm hearing about this proactive alert. Was
I've
that
never-
part of our pilot?
No.
It was not.
And do you have it in operation in any school districts currently in Florida?
We do, yeah, I
Which
think Polk, I believe we're using it there, and I don't know if the others, Joe.
Yeah, there's a handful of them.
Are you doing the bus stop arms in Polk? I thought they were using their own.
No,
This is
proactive.
This is a separate, I think what
Separate
we're
system.
trying to
Separate
convey
system.
here is we've got a long history in trying to work to solve this problem, and we have many solutions to.
So does Polk have the predictive stop arm or not?
Polk does have some of the predictive stop arm, yes.
Like you're using to issue citations?
It's not,
No,
it's
this
a
is-
warning
this is
system,
just a
it is
warning
not a
system.
citation system.
This
This
is
is
an addition.
addition to the citation
We're
system.
getting to the violation system, we're just trying to kind of show you the build up to
Okay.
and how we've approached, kind of a holistic approach to help eliminate this problem.
So this is separate from the bus stop arms, okay.
That's
Correct.
correct, yes. Now we go into stop arms. So, and you're familiar with the technology, so we arrange a set of cameras that around the vehicle, so we detect a vehicle on the right or the left or the right side of the bus. And we also record evidence of a vehicle passing and also of children leaving and entering the bus. We feel that's an additive approach to handling evidence. It does provide additional context of what was taking place on the right side of the bus. It can show if a driver is waving, if a bus driver is waving drivers by, if there was an incident that would throw those citations out. So this is for our human reviewers to take a look at everything that's surrounding the vehicle and look at those extenuating circumstances and say, this is not valid, it's not just a moving vehicle, there's all these other factors that are taken into account. One of the other key items there about the technology on the edge is that we're actually doing the processing on the edge. So it's actually a very powerful computer that is doing license plate recognition in real time. It's doing live location, so it's showing where the buses are. And in addition to that, it's detecting movement, it's detecting and a bunch of other, I want to say, parameters around the school bus to weed out or to better identify those events that are actually true violations, as opposed to just detecting any vehicles that are passing or generating false positives. This is doing all of the intelligence on the edge, and then based on those business rules, it uploads everything into the cloud. So our evidence, again, the goal of the evidence then is, number one, is to aggregate the data, so securely upload it, handle it, make sure that it meets all the requirements. Second is to identify patterns. It's an open platform, so anybody at the school district has access to the data, can look at reporting, all of that information. It's in real time, the raw data, and then what ultimately gets processed and issued as a citation as well. So all of this is available for the school district to make routing decisions, to make other types of decisions ultimately that affect the operation of the bus. And that leads to the violation hotspots. In the data itself, we do see quite a bit of hotspots that are generated by this kind of events, and that in itself has quite a bit of value in reducing some of these violations. Regarding the evidence review process, again, the top line shows the capture of the evidence. So this is the recording, the intelligent aspect of it, the machine learning of it, and then ultimately everything that gets uploaded into our cloud application called Nexus. That was part of one of the other slides that we were showing. Then in the middle there is where the human review or the human component comes into play. After it's already been pre-reviewed by the machine, a human reviewer will take a look at registration information. So the registered driver, will take a look at the other business rules, make sure that it's a true evidence, and ultimately pass that on to law enforcement to generate a proper citation. The rest of the items are really supportive. This is not only issuing the citation, but also court support in case there are somebody contests the citation, or they weren't the driver and they want to issue an affidavit and give it to someone else. All of that is handled by our process. And then there's the reporting aspect of it. State of Florida requires you to issue certain reports, I believe once a year, so all of that data is there as well.
The mailing of the citation, do you guys do the mailing?
Yes, it's correct, yes.
But while you're on that subject, because Bob had a lot of questions about how this works.
Right.
Sure.
But you don't play any role in the development of the administrative process that we will be entering into. That would be our responsibility with the state, is that correct?
We will provide support as needed, but yes, generally the school district would talk to law enforcement, reach an interlocal agreement. We would support it with our legal team as well.
So like if we had a magistrate,
Yeah.
you guys would be present at the hearings, would meet with.
If it's needed, we can provide expert, yeah.
Backing up into that, though, one of the important questions I've got, your 360 camera, does it actually detect and video the driver of the other vehicle or not?
We're not supposed to, by legislative requirements. You're not supposed to capture identifying features, I believe, and the face. Yeah, so one of the, that's actually in the legislation that you're supposed to minimize the amount of faces. Sure, yeah, absolutely, yes.
So while we're on this subject, okay, so with your system, we would be responsible for contracting with a magistrate, and that would be an expense to the district.
No, we handle all of that. That's part of the, that's part of our model, right? So you don't have to contract it, you're part of the process, but we handle all of the citation process as part of it.
The local magistrate that's retained is going to be paid for out of some pot somewhere. That's Ms. Almonte's question.
Okay,
Who's paying
understand.
for that?
Yes, yes, that's something that you would have to.
So we would have to pay for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions about that?
So you, let me, Bob, the attorney, who has a lot to say about this, you have no concerns about this process that they're showing?
I'm much, I mean, being candid, we're here in open forum. Obviously, I like the process better because it's a process that there is no involvement of them benefiting from the number of citations that are issued. There appears to me, I'm not saying it's an accurate analysis, but it appears to me that the earlier we heard, that there's a clear positive to them by the number of convictions that come in that they can relate to. And I think that's part of their, they didn't put it as part of their sales promotion, but I think it's part of what they're trying to leverage. I don't like somebody else besides us having the magistrate that's making these
You're in
decisions.
favor no matter what's.
I think that's a conversation that we should have.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry.
That's all right.
This slide just shows some of the program management. As all of you know, this is a program. It's not just a product that you install in a bus and walk away. There's quite a bit of work that needs to be done. So we have dedicated folks that not only handle the tactical part of it, the installation, shipping, the running of the system, the monitoring, because everything's remotely monitored, but also plan the project, work with you folks on making sure that you're meeting the state requirements, reporting, signage, all of those items as well. And then ultimately monitoring the fleet, monitoring every bus, making sure everything's working correctly. All of that is available as part of the platform as well. So it's not just generating evidence, it's sending alerts if a vehicle, for example, starts communicating. So Tony and other folks can look at the buses and say, we need to take a look at this bus, or we can raise the red flag and send the repair person to fix it. So all of that is part of the program, and for it to be successful, ultimately it needs to be.
Let me ask you this real quick, the
Yes.
audio, that audio piece we talked about earlier, would that be part of, package if we were to go with the?
Was not presented or included in the proposal.
Right, it's extra.
It's just one extra or additional. Yeah.
feature. Okay, thank you.
That's correct.
With an additional cost.
With
That's
additional
what you're
cost, yes.
estimating.
Just wanted to give you, Mike touched on this a little bit, so the same technology that we're using for stop and violation enforcement system called SAFES, we use for bus lane enforcement, bus stop enforcement, and bike lane enforcement in New York City right now. It's the same camera, it's the same computer, so it's doing all of this processing on the edge, and then ultimately only sending events that are pre-filtered and predetermined by the machine to be accurate. In that case, there's a little bit more complexity because instead of just detecting one or a vehicle passing a stop arm, it's actually determining that a vehicle didn't move, so it needs to detect it twice with different vehicles. So there's a lot of logic and a lot of technology that runs in the machine, but it's ultimately it's the same hardware. And that's important because it's not only, if you take a look at the massive amount of detections, it's 5 million detections, right, of events that could be a violation. But then ultimately, using the algorithms and the machine, we can narrow that down to 231,000 and then further with the human review process. And that's important so the programs are successful, right? You don't want to generate false positives, send citations to people that don't really deserve them, create a lot of panic in the for parents, for civilians. So that part is a very core and important part of this technology.
The key thing I'd hit here too is it's an adaptive solution. So that mobile computer allows you to build on additional applications. When we started the project with New York City, it was one, and we're now running 3 distinct applications for them. And so that gives us flexibility to, again, add capability and or continuously improve over the life cycle of the project.
This is just an example of area of coverage. It's most of Manhattan, now Brooklyn, Bronx, some in Queens as well. So we do have quite a bit of deployments there and issuing citations at this point. This is just an example of similar programs. Our system, I mentioned that it was an open system. We work with ticketing partners as well. So in the case of New York City, they have an entity that issues citations for not only those kind of mobile events, but also for traffic citations, things of that nature. So we integrate with them to generate or to handle the citation piece while we handle the technology. We have several partnerships like that as well. So our system is designed to integrate easily into cities and school districts and anyone if you already have somebody that you're using. So let's say if you already have a red light program, for example, and the city wants to use the same citation partner, we could work with them as well and ultimately integrate. So that's the reason why the platform is open, is to give us that flexibility to be able to plug in essentially with any entity that is required. And then just some takeaways regarding the funding one. It is fully violator funded. In this case, you folks have represented the revenue share model in that case. There isn't any hidden fees. The split is pretty clear on what it is that you're getting versus what we're getting. That's paying for all the technology and paying for all of the services. And then regarding contracts and program support, everything's included. So the application that I've shown and some of the functionality is optional to you. You can go in, you can take a look at the hotspots, at the evidence. It's entirely up to you, but it's not necessary. Ultimately, we handle the entire process and we essentially issue the revenue once it's collected. And then last, we have a customer support portal that anybody's can access. Documentation, videos, all of that is available for all of our customers.
So it can be as low touch of a solution, actually to no touch, or you can be fully immersed and engaged. I think Tony, you and your team use the video portion, extensively. We make that available to the agency or the school district, and then whatever supporting agencies. And that's all that access, all that management's defined by yourselves and your policies and procedures.
So we can use the cameras for other things besides.
100%. Yeah, streaming comes with this solution as well, so you'll be able to live stream. You've got live look in on the system. Julian just hit on something you don't have today is what's the health status of that equipment. And so there's a lot of alerts and reporting that allows you to make sure your system is in, optimal operating condition at all times.
So our superintendent has a question.
Yeah, please.
Can you clarify, please, what districts that you're currently in using the stop arm? And then you mentioned the revenue sharing. Can you talk through the potential impact for us here in Charlotte?
Do you want to mention, and to be clear, I think there was questions the last time. So we've deployed this base technology first in law enforcement, and then we had kind of a parallel path in school and then mass transit. We started pilot programs, I think 2 years ago, at multiple school districts here in Florida. Those really are pilots, so they're not active, revenue or ticket generating sites. We thought we would have one particular school district stood up, Osceola. We ran into some issues there, I believe, on their side that paused that, but we're eager to get back to working with them. All are long-standing partners in terms of interior-exterior video, no different than yourselves. I think we've been working with you guys 18 plus years. As long as I've been with the company, I think we've been supplying video technology to the district. The other sites that we're working with on the pilots?
We had Flagler, Alachua, Lee, Osceola, you mentioned, Collier as well. So that's some of the pilot sites, and that was ultimately our beta period. We wanted to make sure this technology was ready for deployment, and we refined it working closely with them, working with the school districts. We've had a pilot as well to not only showcase but also to advance the technology and make sure that it was ultimately what you need.
So you mentioned Lee County. Haven't they contracted and implemented bus patrol?
I believe they have, yes.
Okay, so that's no longer a pilot.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then on the revenue share, it's very straightforward. Your legislation's already set, the ticket amounts. everything works through our system, and then once a ticket is paid, that revenue is split and then distributed to the school district or the state local government per whatever the local legislation requires. All that is front-end setup work that we do. I think one thing in this proposal, it is a flat revenue share. There's no upfront cost and there's no monthly fee. So that's something we've contemplated in the past, but it is just simply that revenue share.
I have a couple questions. So if we were to contract with your company and as you improve technology, how do we make sure that we have the latest in technology as your company grows in technology
Yep.
as far as upgrades and stuff?
Sure. I'll maybe start with the cloud platform aspect of it, and I think we all understand whether it's smartphones, different operating business systems. Once you're in the cloud, it's very easy to deploy updates, and so probably the most relevant and important to all of us is security and compliance. Our system's monitored 24/7, and then we're doing routine updates. Typically, those are scheduled, but obviously if there's any, emergency type situation where an update's required, those are applied all by our team in the background. And then pretty much like any different software that's available, we're constantly refining and improving the software and its capabilities. Most of the time that comes with the solution, and in this case, I think the term of the contract is 5 years. We continue to provide those updates. The other piece that maybe is more challenging is the hardware itself. You can, no different than our phones and however often people are trying to get us to buy new phones, eventually you run into some limitations. But the onboard computer that we have here has quite a bit of capacity. And like we mentioned before, we've been able to continuously add applications. At some point, there'll be a limit to that. And then if we get to the point where you want to continue the program and do a renewal, often what we do upon renewal is refresh hardware. So typically in a 5-year period, you'd be looking at a hardware refresh, which should put you in a really good position. I don't know, Tony, how often you guys are refreshing now?
We buy 10 buses a year,
Yeah.
so when we buy those buses, that would be the latest and greatest hardware as those buses come in.
So this would be an enhancement for you in that particular case. You'd have, fresher technology more frequently, so.
Do you provide coverage on both sides of the bus? I'm sure
We do.
that is-
It's optional. Obviously, Florida requires that. It is the same computer and it's additional cameras.
And the coverage that the cameras provide, like lane ones, like what's the coverage?
I'm gonna comment to the reach of the camera.
For stop arm? The camera is roughly 180 degrees, so the camera that's recording the video covers the entire side of the bus, on both sides of the bus. And then we have the ALPR cameras that are detecting the license plates day and night. So those are dedicated. As part of the evidence, I mentioned that we also add the contextual video. That's all put together and staged together essentially, and that ultimately makes it to the interviewer. But we do provide all of that as part of the
The
evidence.
ALPR cameras, I believe, are about 4 on either side of the vehicle. So they're 8 megapixel 4K cameras, one in each direction, that allows you to get that
The other
coverage.
question I think you just answered, low light situations, just clear video.
Yes, actually, so the cameras, and I apologize, I didn't have a picture in here, but those cameras and the software technology that's running in them allows us to read in color and in day and night. That's important. Why? Most of you have seen covers on license plates, paper plates, right? If you only have an infrared camera that is expecting light to bounce back from it, if you have a paper plate, it will never read it. If you have a cover, it won't read it either. So our camera reads in color during the day, and then at night, it has built-in infrared illuminators that turn on, and then the camera can detect license plates in pitch black conditions. So it can read in any inclement weather or day, night. It's not a problem for it.
Thank you.
Anybody ask how soon they can be operational? Is that-
I'll get to my questions
Okay.
later. I'm gonna make sure that I ask the same questions of them.
So
So you mentioned the 365-degree camera. Is that on top of the bus or inside the bus?
Well, it's really, we have 360-degree coverage around the vehicle based on the number and type of camera. So the context cameras that Julian had mentioned that go on either side, those are 180 degrees. That gives you virtually that, but we still have typically a forward-facing camera to see the roadway. We do have additional door cameras. There's backup cameras if they're not provided with the bus manufacturer. The video system or recorder system you have today, I think, is 8 camera capability. And then we have, I think, it was another 6 camera capability with the ALPR system, so.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
Yep, no, perfect.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I just want,
I just to be fair, I wanna make sure that I ask the same questions of both.
Sure.
So you guys started the little strobe light on top of the bus?
I don't know that I would claim we were first. We were one of the early providers.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And all the illuminated signs that we have on the bus stop arms.
yeah, it's been a long road or journey, but we've really enjoyed trying to continually advance and improve safety around the vehicle.
Okay, so just to review the citation process, you mail the citation. Who processes the payment?
We have a web portal that can all be processed online, typically through credit card, but we do accept other forms of payment.
And are you certified by the state of Florida to do those electronic citations?
That's correct, yes.
And then if the person appeals, it goes through a magistrate that we would have to pay. How many citations for bus stop arm violations have you processed in the state of Florida?
Bus stop, we've not processed. We've been basically in a pilot, so we have all of the observations, all the data, but we've not processed.
You never were up and running in Osceola County.
So Osceola, and Julian, correct me if I'm wrong, had a different approach or model that they similar to, I think, some of the things you were hitting on is who actually does the processing. Is that the vendor or the municipality? They were looking at processing their own tickets. So we were providing them the evidence packages, and it's in part why we kind of built this open approach. We're able to do that, and then you can carry it forward from there.
So you did do that
We
piece.
provide that,
You
absolutely.
did do that in Osceola.
That's correct.
And it's stopped for a while.
It's
For what
paused.
period of time were you working in Osceola?
When did we start first implementation? Award was April of this year, and then they were quickly paused, I think, in the early May timeframe.
Okay, and then on one of your slides, you mentioned Orange County implementations, but that's not an implementation of this
That's
program.
interior, exterior video, just really trying to demonstrate kind of who we've been working with in the state. So,
Okay, as far as the interior cameras for Charlotte for us, when this was initially presented to us by Mr. Conti, it was that you would do whatever our new buses are, which are typically 10 buses a year.
That's right.
So it wouldn't be, I guess you already have the cameras, you already have the cameras.
There's no, I don't believe any need to retrofit. I would say if there's anything that needs updating or repair, we would want to make the fleet whole at that point in time.
And termination cost, do we have any sample I guess you don't have any contracts, like actual,
We're negotiating several, none that are signed. I believe we've provided language back to your team. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. I would say everything's in active negotiation. We do have multi-year contracts with a lot of state and local government, primarily in law enforcement. Typically, those are 5-year terms, so very similar to what we're talking about here. We do, and I think what we most recently proposed, we do look for if it's an early termination, typically in the first 12 to 18 months, there is an upfront investment on our part. We did waive or decided not to present the monthly fee. So I think we're coming back and saying, hey, if something were to be terminated early, there's the hardware cost. But we're very familiar and understand like non-appropriation of funds and things like that. So typically, we work with the local agency or city to negotiate what makes sense for the school.
so just to be clear on the record, because I don't think any of us have seen a contract. Is there any out-of-pocket expense to Charlotte County Public Schools other than what that termination fee would be?
There's 0 upfront, 0 out of pocket, other than what the magistrate may cost. The only situation would be is if there was an early termination in that first 12 to 18 months.
And we would have to basically negotiate a contract from like line one because there's no piggyback contract.
There's not. We've had piggyback contracts in the state for core video. We don't have those currently. We don't have one here because we don't have an active contract. In the future, this contract, certainly could become that.
For somebody else.
For sure. General experience from my point is usually each entity has different requirements that makes the piggyback contracts challenging, but they're something we're familiar with. Yep.
And what kind of safety and education programs have you done in other districts around educating drivers, right, to make sure, I believe there's some kind of state requirement for like the 30 days before you go educate drivers.
Typically, we come in depending on the locale and make sure that we're fully compliant with what the legislation requires. Usually there are requirements around the signage, the notification period. And we basically, it's a turnkey or tailored solution by locale. So yeah, we're basically very adept at that. Going back to the predictive stop arm and then just kind of our career supporting blind zone detection, cross arms, just best practices for drivers and students. We've been engaged throughout our history.
And you've done some education programs then in this, with any districts here in the state of Florida?
In the state of Florida, I would believe we have with the predictive stop arm, so yeah. And then we're active members supporting FAPT, so.
And the only county you mentioned for the predictive stop arms was Polk, is that correct?
I believe
Well,
I'd have
there's
to,
several counties that have it. Flagler has it. I believe Osceola has several, and there's a bunch of counties that do it regularly on their new fleet purchase vehicles. And so we can supply you a list with everybody that has that if you do.
I'd appreciate that.
And similar programs have the same requirements on issuing warning notices, 30, 60 days, we're familiar with those.
Well, we would, if we did this, we would be your first district in the state of Florida
in
to
full
be using
production.
your bus stop arms.
And from start to finish. So
Full end to end.
You
yeah.
did about half, you did it for a month or two and then.
It's been a little longer, but yeah, I agree, yes.
Any other questions? Anybody? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, appreciate the opportunity, yeah, thank you.
It must be really.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody, happy holidays. Take care.
Happy holidays to you too.
I can feel my nose.
You know what? You asked the first vendor how many hands.
Because they made a huge deal about it, that's why I asked them.
Yeah, I know, I forgot to ask, so I meant to ask them the question too.
They made a big deal
Did
about
you
it.
get a chance to talk to them about possibly having a termination for cause provision in their contract if they were selected? I think I reached out to you about that.
Right now, it's in, I have that, I sent that to McKinley for review. He's had it.
I've asked them, I asked them to see if they would consider if it was waiving that fee if we terminate the contract for cause, not just willy-nilly.
So you have seen a contract then?
I have not seen a contract. I asked them to reach out to McKinley because they were working with the contract to see if that might be inclusive, because I thought that might be a
I think about
concern.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we sent that to him.
Gentlemen, is there anything that you would like to add or anything that you think that we should know?
You said that you inquired about us starting at square one for the contract. They are already an existing vendor approved of ours. So all this would be in addition to the existing agreement that we have with them. It would be just be another agreement. We wouldn't have to go out with an RFP.
But all the
But
things
I'll
that have to
check
do
with-
with the bus stop arm, and I'm not.
It's just
sure
like
what
adding the
this procedure-
predictive stop arm.
But it sounds like there's a lot of things with this one. This one, you're talking like, how are you processing those citations? Who's gonna pay for the magistrate? What the split in the fees is, all those things would be.
That's something we still have to negotiate an
New
ILA.
contract that we joke about all the time, these are, I'm counting up
Mr.
It's ours. I understand.
We still have to work on an ILA with the county and with local law enforcement and how that split's gonna work and so on and so forth. What we were gonna piggyback off of is the magistrate for their school zone, since they already have that process already set up.
Who's doing the citations for this, who's the company for the citations for the school zones?
I think they're using a company called Red
It's red speed.
Red Speed.
Again, that was, I'm just gonna say, very disconcerting. Couple things I heard. One was they're actually photographing the drivers, which I was pretty sure they couldn't do.
I missed that.
I thought I certainly got I certainly thought that that's what they said.
Because if it's against the law.
Yeah, but that one, and again, did anybody hear, were there any additional safety devices from bus stop that I didn't hear that compared with what the second group talked about? With the additional warning systems and what have you?
I didn't hear them say that, but I love that because it's one
But
thing to
those
cite
are
a driver
those are,
later,
but they're
additional
add-ons,
costs.
they're
Right,
add-ons.
but it's
I
one thing
like,
to
I
cite a
like,
driver later, but if
I
we
did
can
like
get
it,
hit
I like
in
that
the
audio
points,
piece.
yeah.
I mean, if our primary focus, which I hope it is safety,
Right.
then the other is certainly a thought, and it needs to go into our thinking, but whatever's gonna make our children safer is really what I wanna know the most.
Wholeheartedly agree. The audio piece, I've never had heard of that before. I liked that piece.
So other districts that are not using bus patrol, that have picked a different vendor, let's say, if there are any. The process of building this whole hearing and the magistrate, are there other ones we can kind of copy and replicate? Because are we gonna create this all
It would
ourselves?
be very similar to the speed zone.
Okay.
It would not alter dramatically from whatever they have to do for that.
Yeah.
The biggest defense to all those is, can you tell who was driving the vehicle? I mean, that from a defense perspective, just because the vehicle went through there doesn't mean
It was me.
I was doing it. So how can you issue me a citation simply because I own the vehicle? That's where the real catch-22 comes in that's why I wanna know if it is illegal or not, and I don't know the answer. I'll research that on my own as well. But that's an important proponent for me. Obviously, it would simplify everybody's life if we can know who's driving the vehicle.
Both companies were very professional, very responsive. The pilot process, was there any concern with either of the companies as far as responsiveness or professionalism, or making sure that we were where we needed to be with the technology?
Yes, they both reached out when there was an issue with their systems. They've reached out to me and to schedule a time to come down to look at their equipment, to calibrate their equipment.
So they're reaching out to you then?
They reached out to me, they were proactive. You know, we don't monitor their systems, that it's totally independent. So they were the ones that reached out and told us that they were not functioning. And they come down and they took care of it within 24 hours.
Yeah, they were both good, but it is true. Bus Patrol did win the pilot by like 2-3 points.
And law enforcement looked at both of the ways that they would log into their system, and they were both similar.
Yeah, the
similar
attorney, we
process.
talked to the attorney and they liked them both. They were like,
Either
So
one.
there was no concern on their end as far as the
No.
NOV or anything like that?
No.
There's two things that I'm seeing. I think one thing that I have a big question about is, as you mentioned, within 2-3 points, Bus Patrol came out ahead. But we did see that slide that had the public records from 3 different school districts. It showed in all 3 of the districts that chose Bus Patrol, they came out number 1. And Seon, is that how you say it? They came out number 5. And I'm just wondering, obviously they used, those other 3 districts must have used some kind of other points rubric. Maybe they were looking at different things than what we were looking at, and I'm just, that's something that I'm kind of puzzling, is why is there such a disparity there?
I think what that slide was a little misconceiving because it was talking about the RFP process and the contracting process, not about the data that was collected or where the hotspots
So it
were.
had more to do with comparing contracts.
It was all in the procurement side.
Okay, and all of those, once Hillsborough did their contract, the other 2 used the same contract.
As a boilerplate, and then they made minor modifications.
Okay. And I guess the other big thing that I'm thinking about okay, we are not Miami-Dade, that is clear here. We don't wanna be Miami-Dade. If you just do a Google search on these stop arm cameras across the state, there have been questions with the implementation. That's why Osceola paused. That's why Miami-Dade right now is they're gonna vote on this. It looks like they are gonna vote for the DOA process based on the minutes that I saw. In the situation that we got a lot going on in this district, I don't want to be the beta. I'm sorry, I don't want to be the first. Because if anything goes wrong with us, we're gonna be the ones on the news. As Miami-Dade ended up.
I would say to answer to that though, we have a strong relationship with this company already, right? Going back 17 years, is that what I heard?
It's not the company, it's the whole process of issuing violations
And
and the
again,
technology.
part of what's going on, and with all due respect in Dade County, is there's not the same relationship between the sheriff's department and the district as I think we have here. I think we're gonna have an enhanced, at least our experience with Mr. Pimentel, Sheriff Pimentel, since he's been in, and with Chief Davis is, we will work hand in hand with them. It's always been that way, I believe, I see no reason why that will not continue. It's not been that way in Dade County, so I'm not sure we're comparing apples with apples.
I will say too, this company safely emphasized that their review process to make sure that the citations that are going out are real citations. And the problems that we've seen with Bus Patrol and a lot of the other counties are the false citations going out that are not accurate.
And how do we know there's a real update?
I don't know,
Florida,
they piloted it, we piloted it, right? So.
But we didn't actually go through the citation process.
And
That's the
I
big
understand your
unknown is the
heartburn with
citation
that.
process.
I do appreciate your heartburn with that.
And that's why we're taking a slow roll approach towards implementation, because we have to make sure that that back end is set up, that foundation with the magistrate, the agreement with the county, the agreement with the sheriff, so that we have that core set up. So no matter which vendor is there, we have that process set up, because the law changed and said it is our responsibility to set up that magistrate process.
But again, the board will make its determination on how we wanna go. I've got serious heartburn when the developer of the program is creating the administrative process. It just doesn't smell right. I'm sorry. From a perspective of transparency, I don't see how they can wear both hats. I really don't. When their future sales, they're promoting the return 90% conviction rate, for lack of a better term, on that. When they're creating the model for what they're using, I would hope their conviction rate would be that high.
I guess I don't understand the difference between.
Because they're
And the truth is, with Bus Patrol, we can use a magistrate also. I mean,
We can, I'm just, but as far as your expense,
So it really comes down to the technology.
I thought you indicated that you had a concern with being the beta. And if we're going to be the beta, we're going to be either way. I mean, hypothetically, if we don't use that.
I mean, the way that I look at it, this is a technology decision between Bus Patrol and Safely, using one that is previous, for me, I'm just telling you my decision making is, this is a technology decision for me, over a company that has previously implemented this technology in, I think it's like 5 districts. As far as how the citations are issued, I would defer to I don't think I really understand why Bus Patrol is incentivized, and you don't have to convince me at this point why that is. Because for me, it's like once we choose who the best technology is and the proven technology, then we can decide how the citations are gonna be handled. And I would be fine if you feel more comfortable with using a magistrate with either company. I'll defer to your legal expertise there. I'm not sure I really understand the difference, but I will defer to your legal expertise.
Okay, well, again, I wanna make sure that they've got the same safety options with bus stop that they've got with Senses, the second group. That's, right now, that's really weighing huge on my thought process. And we'll, of course, gonna need the cost for those particular upgrades.
Yes.
We're gonna need those, I think, so we can make an informed decision across the board. Do you all agree?
Yeah.
No.
I think Safe Fleet has more expertise in all the safety things that go on a school bus. And I do agree that at this current moment, Bus Patrol is more established with the camera system. And Safe Fleet has piloted it in many districts, but we would, it sounds like if we were to go with them, we would be the first.
But we have cameras with them.
Yes, but yes, we do, and we love the camera, our camera system is fantastic, we have a great relationship with that company, but we haven't, I mean, we piloted the tickenings, but we would be the first district to go
So I'm
live
interested,
with
they were
them.
talking about the New York City buses that they do, is it the same thing but with just on the buses up there? I was
In New York
confused.
City, they have bus lanes
Okay.
that you can park in, so that's what it is,
So
or
they're
you
using the
can
same technology with that?
Yes.
So they've done it for
mass
mass
transit.
transit in New York City, so it's the exact same thing.
Same
They
thing
just
with
have
bike
different school
lanes,
districts.
right?
Gotcha, okay. So I didn't understand.
Similar, but it would be different enforcement
Mm.
wise and implement.
But the same technology.
Same.
Okay, and anybody have any other questions?
John, where are you landing on
Concerns or
this?
thoughts?
You know, I'm glad we had this session. I mean, you guys presented a lot of information, but I think with them coming in, really going into a little bit of detail, I think it's helped me, but at this time, I'm not ready to sway one company over another, because now I'm gonna really dive into their presentations, really do some more research and stuff like that. I like the establishment that has already happened with Bus Patrol, but I also like the, the other companies' history and success rate with their other technologies. So if they're successful with their other technologies, I really don't have any fear that it would be any different with this new technology. One aspect that I'm interested to see is with the county, with their speed zone cameras, and I think they're live now, right? Are they
No, I
issuing-
believe it's January first, so I believe February would be their first hearings, yes. Gives
It'll
us
be
time
interesting
to.
how that process works, and, which might help us in the future, so.
Yeah, one thing that struck me is that, when we initially got the recommendation from you, one of the reasons was is that we were gonna save $100,000 a year on the interior cameras. And it turns out the Bus Patrol was gonna do the same thing, but we weren't made aware of that.
They just told
Made aware of it
Yeah.
until today.
Yeah, they just told us that today.
Okay, so you didn't know that either then. So I remember in the last presentation I asked, did anybody ask Bus Patrol if they'd be willing to do it? So I'm assuming that
After they asked, then all of a sudden it became reality.
okay.
So what about Safely adding in some of their extra safety features for us? I mean, maybe that's potential.
Those
So-
predictive,
Yeah.
and those, it looks so nice, but
that's already in
nobody
Mr.
talks about
Coxey's
the
in my
cost of
head.
it.
I know.
Yeah, already.
Maybe we could pilot that for them.
Well, we don't have to, it's already being used in other districts, my former district, Flagler County.
Yeah.
And he said Polk County, and then there's others, he'll get me a list and I can send those to you. But that thing
You can
is,
tell us how much they are.
Yeah, or if they'll consider a 5-year waiver of, something.
you
Well,
know,
trying to process next steps. I've heard two of you say you'd like to do a little bit more research. Would you like us to put this on a workshop, next month, a few months from now?
I would say at least 2 months out. I mean, I'd like as much, well, we can, one company said they could be ready in January. Okay, I mean,
I
it
guess
did
I
not
forgot to
sound
ask
like
that
it's gonna
question.
be
What
a.
did Safe Fleet say? We didn't ask the question about timeline.
Tony, do you have an opinion on that? We didn't ask, but do you have an opinion when they would be ready?
since they wouldn't have to be putting in the DVR and the internal cameras, I'm sure it would be probably a similar time frame.
You think they could be ready to go in January, like if we told them
In
today?
July. You
But
said by
not, I
July.
mean, what's their name, Bus
If we're
Patrol
gonna
said
push off
January.
2 months,
I would say no, not January for that one, no.
I don't wanna
But
push
you-
it too far back,
Maybe
but I
you
want
should
time for
commit,
us all
you
to
know,
do our
find out
homework.
if they're willing to commit to July, that would be a question I'd want answered. Are they willing to commit to have this up and ready to go in July?
I can
So
ask.
what time frame do they need?
And
that's a
also
good-
how much those predictive, the flashing light things are.
Predictive
Ms. Marshall,
software.
that's a good point there. Would you like to submit questions to staff for us to be able to answer? Would you like to do your own research? Or
I want
perhaps a
those two,
combination
those are
of the
two.
two?
Yeah, those are two questions I want to answer.
Yeah, I would like, if I would ask if you could please submit your questions to us, we'd be
Do I
happy
need to
to.
put those in writing?
Both of us, please.
And I will, inquire of Mr. McKinley what he thinks the hours might be.
Good luck on that one.
How much, I'd be curious how much he's already spent. I think quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, hopefully if he's got the upfronts done, the backside won't be that bad.
All right, anything else? Ready to move on to the next item?
If I could make
Okay.
one comment.
Yes,
You were concerned
please.
about being a beta, but just remember, both their contracts have a dismissal for cause on their part failure to perform. So we would not be out of pocket if we did do the beta.
Do you think, okay, because you said that was a question you were gonna ask.
Well, if that's in there, because that's the
That's,
question I was.
that's in the new
Okay,
thing that I've sent
Both
to
of
Mr.
them, yeah?
McKinley. Yes.
okay. Well, McKinley's requiring both of them to do it then. So that answers my question. So that takes out the concern we had that if it's not working, and it's your fault that it's not working, we don't have to pay that money back.
It's
under
good to
review
have
right
that
now.
clause,
It's
but
under
it
review with him
wouldn't,
right now.
optically, it wouldn't look.
Pardon?
I mean, it's good they have that clause, but optically it wouldn't.
I mean, that's exactly what happened, like with, I just remember like if you, like I said, anybody, and maybe you guys already have, like kind of Googled about this stuff and seen some of the headlines. That's
There have been
exactly
some
what happened at
hiccups.
Polk,
Yeah.
like with Polk, and those were not.
Well, there were some issues in Lee
And
too.
I'm gonna tell you
There's
this,
a lot
and
of
same
issues.
thing, I'm gonna tell you right now, same thing with those speed zone
They're
cameras.
gonna be
Guess
issues.
whose name is on the speed zone cameras, even though that was completely a county sheriff decision process. Guess who will be the headline?
Schools and.
School board ticketing people for speeding,
There
which I'm
will
fine
be-
with, by the way.
And you know why Osceola paused their program?
Gotta be
Because their
11 over.
sheriff got the agreement, they did everything themselves.
I got a lot of information from my Osceola board member, actually about that whole situation, so.
Are we ready to wrap this up?
Yes.
And go into the next one? All right, thank you guys.
We know
Thanks.
Ackman Turner Overdrive.
No,
Ballot
Are
language.
you new ballot language now? Okay.
Yeah, ballot language is next.
All right, now let's go over here.
Okay, so, at the last referendum committee meeting, they all talked about, the language, and they kind of workshopped it themselves, and then they came back with a recommendation. So, that was sent on to everybody. Does anybody have any questions or concerns on the new language that they sent?
I'd still like something in there that mentions, directly mentions the charter schools.
Why?
I'm
I'm asking why.
I'm asking, why?
asking, yes.
Because I think Babcock and, the number of voters they have out there could make the difference on whether it passes or not.
Okay.
And I
so-
wanna make sure that there's at least
I like
a
that,
blurb that includes charter schools, so they read that and can push that in support.
All right, I will say.
67 words, and we can go up to 75, so if we add anything else, we have 9 words to, like,
All right, I will add to that though, that in the last 2 times that we've had this on the ballot, we, as a whole, as a community, we've done very good in letting everybody know that we will be sharing with the charter school. We didn't have to put it in there. We did the first time before it was mandated. Now it is mandated that we share it, and we always have shared it. Now, the last time this was on the ballot, in Babcock Ranch, 1,582 people voted for the referendum and 361 voted against it, and that was without it even being on the ballot.
We now have like 12,000 people in that county, and I've been out there a lot recently, and here's what I'm gonna tell you, almost everybody there is brand new. They have no idea that they actually have a school board, they don't even know they have a county commissioner. They're just happy to be here from wherever they moved. And we wanna make clear to those voters who are new to Babcock that we are supporting their school.
And just, are you concerned, Wendy, that the non-charter school parents are gonna be put off by inclusive of the language?
Maybe,
Okay, that's,
possibly.
I'm just trying to figure out where the, you know.
No, I don't, and I will say that I think the majority of voters, when they go to vote that day, this is the first time they're hearing anything about the referendum. No matter what we've done out there, they have no idea what we're talking about, so they get in here and they're like, oh, that looks nice, and then they say,
What
yes,
was that
like,
article from Hector Flores,
that's
something
it.
like, I think it was like 25,000 people moved here like in the last 2 years, is that possible?
Three of the 4 people that will vote for you didn't vote for you in your first school board.
Thank you for reminding me.
This is a tough question, because this is this is what could possibly determine whether it succeeds or not. But I like to go with what's worked in the past. And I noticed that the polling company also did not use that language either. So I'm wondering, is there,
Here's the
I
issue.
know they work with other districts, is that something that I lean towards the recommendation at the top, because I know that hasn't worked in the past, and it's been successful.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there on what has been successful in the past, but what I will tell you about the polling organization is the company that paid the polling organization is anti-charter schools. And what I was hoping that we would get out of that polling organization, what I thought we were going to get, because I was at the Yes for Success meeting, I guess that was probably 2-3 months ago, where we talked about using the polling organization, and I thought what it was gonna be is that the polling was gonna go out and like say to a voter, are you more likely to vote for this referendum if charter schools are included, from a 1 to a 10? They didn't ask questions like that at all. And so, because we thought that that the polling organization was gonna give us direction on what should be included in the language, and they didn't.
I would say that if we're going to put the charter school language on there, then we have got to let people know the good relationship we have with our charters.
But it's required by law.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand it.
Again,
We don't have to put the charter language in there by law.
Right.
But we've always shared it,
I know.
even when we didn't have to. We just need to let everybody know the relationship that we have.
I remember the meeting before it was left by law, and I don't think there was anybody else on the board now that was at that meeting when the comment was made. We need to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Correct.
And that was always the proponent of this particular board.
Right.
And has been throughout the duration. But again, this is,
one of my concerns is, our citizens being charter schools or private schools. I mean, with all the recent news about the and stuff like that, money has been spent, charter schools, private schools. I mean, we know there's a difference. We are required to charter schools. I don't want people who have concern with private schools. It's more of an education thing, obviously, but people on the opposite side of supporting private schools with public school funding. Look at that as a negative. They might not, but.
again, John, just looking at sheer numbers here in the county, what do we got? 3 small private schools? 4?
Yeah, I mean,
but
they don't know.
But they're coming from different,
Yeah.
states, like you said, they're coming from different states.
So I've been out talking quite a bit to people in Babcock, and they do not understand that their charter school is part of us. I go out there, there's a lot of young families, which I love. A lot of people who have specifically moved there for that charter school, and they do not understand that their charter school is part of our district. Like, I have to explain that to them. I said, they're part of us. I said, your success is our success.
So you think if we add this language about charter schools, they'll say, aha, that's us, yes.
That's us, I gotta vote for this.
Okay.
So that our school gets some money.
They've gotten money for the last 8 years.
But they don't know that.
Almost every, like you said, how many people voted last time? I think less than 2,000.
4 years ago, 1,182 voted for it, 361 voted against it.
So less than 2,000 people voted. Every time I go out there, 2,000 more people have moved to that community. They got 12,000 people there now. By the time the election, this next November, I fully expect they're gonna have another 1,000 to 2,000 people. I mean, I love when I go out there. I'm always astounded to meet all these people who are choosing to come to our county.
Do they
Part of the reason they're choosing is because they look up that school.
Do they understand it's a raffle to go to that school?
Not if you live there in the community, not if you live in
When did they
Babcock
change
Ranch.
that?
If
It
you
wasn't-
live,
it
if
was
you live
that
in
way.
Babcock Ranch, if more than 50, once the development is more than 50% developed, the people who live within that community are like first on the list. I might be saying the statute wrong, but
Do you have any input or guidance, Mark, from your perspective?
Strong arguments on both sides. I'll add this, to use a baseball analogy. Sometimes tie goes to the runner, and to John's point, that it has passed significantly the last two times without the language being in there. And when the polling company did their poll, it was a favorable rating for the district, and the language was not in there. We don't know if the language was included, how that would impact the results one way or the other.
if they did the poll showing that we were favorable with the language from 4 years before, why was their recommendation to change the language? That's what I can't figure out. Because the language that it says here, their recommendation is different than what it was 4 years ago.
They did make some changes, but they did not include charter schools for whatever.
I'm comfortable, I mean, it's just such a big decision that I would,
That was McKinley's recommendation.
No, right here, Vancore Jones recommendation. So if I look on the first page here at Vancore Jones recommendation, and then I compare that to the second page here that says 2022 ballot language,
They changed all
it's two different things.
So,
It's two different
so
things.
we're
I
saying
just see 2026, and then I see.
on the second page,
So they,
this is our original language.
Clear-
So we're,
Wendy, the Clearview did not add the polling, the charter language, if that's
That
what
was
you're.
McKinley.
that was
McKinley added the
What
charter
I'm saying is
school.
Vancore's recommendation, it's like they polled everybody based on the existing language, and I think it polled well. Not as well as what it passed 4 years ago, but well. So it's like, why did they recommend to change it? That's what I can't figure out.
well, we have to be united, or however we go.
yes,
Correct.
yes.
That's the most important, and I will go whatever way this board thinks it should go. I've said what I think, but I'm a team player, and whatever you want is fine. I'll go with whatever we agree on.
I was a very strong proponent back in fact, I made it pretty clear when we were doing this in 2018, that the only way that I would support it is if we shared the revenue with the charters. Because back then it was not required by law to do that. So I agree with you on, for all the reasons stated, that we should include the language about supporting charter schools.
One of the things that they did, that the committee did change in the language was adding the term referendum.
Yeah.
Was there, because it wasn't in there, and a lot of people know the referendum.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
Good
So they
word.
put- So they put the word referendum.
And it's a long
in
word
the
that takes gets as much credit as if.
was there any thought process, a conversation about, leaving out the charter school versus leaving in this recommendation? Was there a thought process?
So their thought process was to leave it out, I believe.
Because
For
the
the
original
same
language
reason.
or the language, similar language has been successful.
We've done a good job of passing it on. And then the schools, FSW, they do a very good job of educating their parents and their community, and so did Babcock.
We need Babcock to do that education with their families.
Yeah,
Well,
but we can go out there
Maybe
and
we
make
emphasize
presentations as
Babcock.
well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As a group,
we should.
maybe we're out there emphasizing that.
There really wasn't charter school, it's just they wanted to do something that's successful.
As long as we're in agreement that we're gonna spend more time there than we might other areas in order to make sure we educate them, I would not be comfortable leaving it out, but I would understand the decision to leave
I'm
it
not
out.
comfortable either, because it's gotta be led, I mean, it needs to be led by the community out there, they have to want this. And that leadership is gonna come from the school leadership. And I don't see, and this is an unfortunate thing. We are not, let's be honest, we're not as, I'll speak for myself, I am not as connected with that school as I would like to be. I'm not as connected, nowhere near as connected with that school as I am with all of the other schools in our district.
It's tough.
And I'm just speaking for myself, I am not as connected with that school as I am with other schools. I can't go out there and lead this process in Babcock the way that I could say at Sally Jones or in Pembroke.
Well,
We
Or the way
have
that you can in
people,
Inglewood.
we have employees that live out in Babcock and they have great relationships with a lot of the people that live out there. So,
I'm with you, Bob.
I probably would prefer to see it as well. But can we soften the language or?
just, it's just,
so the way that they have it right now, Charlotte County, continue to curb windmill, ad valorem, village referendum for 4 years to maintain the quality of the school system, to enhance school security, to recruit and retain highly effective teachers and support staff. Where was the
just
other
public and charter.
change?
Yeah, wait.
Wait a minute,
I know, I thought about that too,
Yeah.
change it
Oh,
to
to
public and
change
charter
to
school
provide-
system.
to provide
To either enhance or support of what we already are providing.
Yeah.
Of those words, I like support.
Yeah, I like that word as well.
Um,
So maintain the quality of the public school system.
Public and charter.
And charter.
I like that.
I do
think
too.
that's-
Are you guys okay with that, saying public and charter school system?
Is that better
I
than?
can live with that, I mean, it's, I think really the driving force behind this would be the work that we put into it. Obviously, the language will make a difference, but I think that, if we put the same amount of effort into the last couple times and making sure we educate the public and all the necessary organizations, I think I'm sure it'll work. Just wanna make sure that the language is supportive of what we tell people.
I
tell
think
the
it's
citizens.
more transparent, including charter schools, because we are sharing with them. So it's a transparency issue too, that we're saying, they're also getting it. We're not trying to hide from you that they are, so, I mean. Wendy, you're still a no.
I'm still a no. I would rather, I'll go with the majority, but if the majority decides to do that, then I'll live with it, but it's not my.
Well, who's going to the meeting today?
When this wins, the next,
Who's going to the
language
meeting
will
at
be the
4
charter.
today?
Nobody, it got canceled. It was supposed to be me, but it got canceled.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that got canceled. I thought maybe we could got a quick feedback.
I don't remember anything being put in about the charter schools. Do you?
About the committee, no, the committee recommendation was not to.
Not to include that.
And what was their reason for not including it?
I think.
Just because it's different than what we did 4 years ago, or were there other reasons? Do they think it's
I think
negatively
mainly that was it.
perceived?
It could be.
Did they say that?
There was some concern with that, without knowing, without having polling data to know for sure. I think the persuading argument was that it has been successful in the past without the words in there. So, Stay with the winning formula. There was discussion, that probably was the topic that we spent the most time on.
I mean, if the argument is that we should just stay with what we have, then we should just stay with the 22 language and just change the dates. I guess that's my thing. If their way of thinking was that we should stick with what we know is successful.
They did like the changes, however, that are recommended.
Okay.
They like the changes, they like.
I have a feeling there were some people in that room who also are not in favor of charter schools. So, which is,
It is the.
Yeah.
Again, I want 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're not gonna get 100%, but I want 100% if we can get it. So whatever we can do to convince the most people, and like I said, I will go with whatever this board determines. The superintendent said he doesn't think he's comfortable without it being in there. And he's the one, we've gotta live with it, but nobody's gotta live with it more than he does if it doesn't pass.
It's true.
So,
But I found what you said about the the private schools very interesting, because I never
Mhm.
went down that thought process.
I mean, it's possible, and it's, there's a possibility.
We live in that world, a lot of people don't.
To date, well, I don't wanna,
I'm ready.
that thought shouldn't come out.
Right, oh,
Yeah. And like I said, I think wherever we land is the work that we're gonna put to making sure that we function out. If it's not included, charter schools are not included, it's important that we emphasize that they are.
Are we gonna come to a decision today that we can, the next
We're
month,
gonna
put
have
this
to
on
move
our-
soon.
Right, I mean, if I was gonna do it, I would take that very top paragraph on the page. Take out, I would keep referendum, cause you said that's important. Take out the 4 years, add in public and charter, so that's 2 words. And then you have and support staff. And then as far as the words in front of workforce development, out of the 3 words we have there, I guess I would say support, although I feel like there could be a better word. if we have
I know, I was
resource.
struggling with
said
that, right?
enhance or support,
Yeah.
What's that?
enhance or support,
Yeah, I don't know what it means, I feel like we could.
rather than
Facilitate.
to provide.
Because we were already providing. just a-
Facilitates the only other
I
one.
do like the recommendation from referendum for 4 years and getting the dates out, I think that's a good recommendation.
All right, I
Did
wanted
you
to
say
know,
getting the dates out?
Yeah, I like what they said instead of.
Oh,
It's-
instead
It's
of.
instead of, yes,
Because I thought they were gonna have both.
no, it's
I think you
instead.
maybe, are you sure that
Yeah.
the dates don't have to be in
they
there?
don't have to be in there.
Okay, because on my version, it's not crossed out, so
I
I.
crossed it out.
It's the one that Marcia sent.
We can have McKinley to verify that, but even in McKinley's, there's no dates, it's. So, yeah.
I don't wanna put Ms. Smith on the spot here, but hearing the conversation about marketing to Babcock, do you have any thoughts off the top of your head on how we could be successful
We all
doing
turned to
that?
look at you.
You mean like a campaign for the referendum for Babcock?
If the concern is leaving that language out, however, we wanna make sure we're connecting with the Babcock voters, how do we get that message out there?
It would be very similar to what we're doing for our typical voters, in my opinion. We would just make a point to go out to Babcock. And to the point, I can't remember who, maybe Wendy or no, I think it was Miss Montre, said that they don't necessarily know that they're a part of our school district. And I also see that same message from the families that I speak to who are gathering public records. They do not know that they are part of our school district. So making a effort to go out there and to give presentations and to include them more in our branding and not our branding, but our marketing. I don't think it would be a hard thing to
Would it be
tackle.
targeted Facebook messaging or flyers?
We would just include charter schools within our messaging that we will be doing for the referendum campaign.
I mean, it needs to be done in very close cooperation with the leadership at that school.
Yeah, we did.
100%.
She has to be part of
We need
this
to,
conversation.
we need to get somebody.
Nothing
from
is gonna
their
happen out
public
there
city.
without the leadership at that
That's
school.
on the.
You talk to Shannon.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That would be a real plus.
Yeah. They have to have that
That-
buy-in.
that- I wish one of us, all of us would have thought about that when we put that committee together.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that number of voters out there.
Yeah.
They need a voice on that committee.
I'm not that well at this, talking to a
Well-
lot of people, so.
I'm not trying to.
No, I'm just, I'm just
Myself,
saying that,
as
I'm
much
just
as
saying that
anybody, I'm
I'm
just
very,
saying that I wish-
I'm very much, not that I'm saying that I'm probably more in touch with what's going on in that community just by the nature of how I've been spending my time lately.
And let me just emphasize my thought process is to what's been passed.
Yeah.
If we change the language, the new language, I'm certain will work this time, it will be something that will continue to maybe perpetuate in the future. I think we need to look at, also the future. Is this the language that we could feel confident going into the next time and the next time? So
I'm wondering if the districts, more proportionate number of charter schools includes it in their referendum.
Find out.
Well, I
That
know
might-
that one
that
got in
might-
trouble for specifically excluding charter schools.
And their language,
In their money, in their money. Sarasota had to,
Oh, it-
this was.
but their
West Palm
ballot
Beach.
language.
Palm
And
Beach.
Sarasota got.
Yeah, I don't know what the language that Sarasota got sued when they were not sharing. You know,
I'm-
they were the first district in the whole state to do the millage.
Yeah.
This was about 8 years ago.
I'm comfortable
Maybe further back, but West Palm got in trouble.
I would be surprised if Sarasota's language includes charters, very surprised. But I'd be wondering, someone in Broward that has so many charters, I don't even know if they have a referendum, but any of the larger districts that have a referendum, what their language said to try to promote it.
It's good we're having this conversation because now I kind of have an idea of where you two are looking. And I think timeline-wise, as soon as possible, but I think I want to process what everyone else is saying also. So like, I might end up where I'm at later, or I might end up somewhere different after hearing from you guys, so.
Well, when's the latest, Mark, you think we can have this?
If we have a decision made by March,
Okay, we've got at least a month.
So revisit it in January again.
if you're ready to revisit it in January, we
I think
will.
we need to.
But they won't have had another
Right, but
meeting.
if we can continue this and we can look at the language of other counties and see what they've done, and I think that
Maybe have McKinley part of the conversation.
Oh, that costs us.
he already gave us his, he said put this.
Well, it's good to know we have until March, but I think if we can continue the conversation in January, keep
Is there anything that you would like from staff at the January workshop, any information you would like to consider?
I think before our next meeting, I'd like you to have a meeting with Mrs. Treese. And she'd be a good, we didn't put anybody from Babcock, a city now of 12,000 people on the committee. Can you have the conversation with her and get her feelings
I
about
sure
this?
can, and I think involving a parent, on the committee would, that would make sense as well.
So it's not an afterthought, we really meant to include you to begin with.
Well, it's a good conversation. Okay, so January, we'll make a decision. Okay.
By the way, there's I'm just gonna say one other thing, because we were looking for synonyms for support,
Yeah.
just something to think about. The only word that I came up here on my search was reinforce. Reinforce workforce development, I don't know if you like that other than support.
Emphasize?
We have provide, enhance, support,
Yeah.
reinforce, and I don't know about emphasize, because we already do that.
I liked enhance, but that.
Well, the committee came with the 2 words, they had a lot of conversation going around the table on that.
Enhance and
Two
support.
words that they came and
Let's not
those
add
I
to
can,
theirs.
we
Let's choose
can
from
do
theirs.
the, you
Enhance
don't
or
want,
support.
you don't
Yeah.
want to provide.
Enhance or
Yeah.
support, alright.
Alright, so the next thing on the agenda is the Bachman Track update.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. It's a long one.
Okay, the first week of December, the county met with Marcus. I was out of town and so was Adrian, Dr. McElroy. And they discussed a few items that I would like to brief you guys on and get your feedback on a few things so we can maybe move forward with what the vision is with this. You see the first, that's the property. You guys have seen this before. The circle is our piece of it, okay? Okay, the Charlotte County government is gonna move forward with their master plan. The vision for their piece of property, which touches ours, is possibly a shelter, affordable, and workforce housing. They wanna get started on possibly on the master stormwater design, utilities, and planning if needed. And the questions they had for Marcus to come back to the board to discuss are on the next slide. First question is to confirm, are we still interested in possibly doing a housing project out on the Bachman Tract? That would be the first question.
I am.
I am.
So when on the first slide, they say they're interested in doing,
Oh,
Cancel.
hit cancel, not power off. We went that route once already.
So specifically, housing project, it could we're talking about, now go back to the next slide.
Yep.
Be affordable.
So.
Yeah, I can get into all that, I guess, but the first initial question was, or is something we wanna discuss, you know?
Yes.
Okay,
Let's
okay,
keep going.
okay, alright. So, in that realm, you know, there are workforce housing only projects that are built, there are affordable housing only projects that are built, and there are combinations of the two. Our group, our recommendation to you guys would be if we were to, if this is something that you guys wanted to do, we would wanna do a combo, workforce and affordable. That seems to be, talking with Marcus and Adrian, for potential developers out there, that seems to be the best way for them to move forward is a mixed type use.
Like option 3.
Option 3, yes, yes, yes.
Describe to me the difference between workforce and affordable.
We have that, that's a very good question. So it has to do with people's income. Affordable housing serves households that are earning less than 80% of the area median income, which is $94,800 in Charlotte County. I guess that's been a bit of a jump. And then workforce housing, workforce housing is people that are 80% to 120% of the area median income. So that's the difference between the two. And then
So
it's
what would the 30% be?
30%, it can only be 30% of their gross income.
So what's that?
Um,
Down what?
oh, okay.
Was that so it'd be 30% of the 94,800?
Yes.
So 30-some thousand then.
Yes,
They'd have to be earning less than 30.
correct. And here's the chart here, depending on,
For a household of 3.
yes,
For a single person.
yes, they have them all 1, 2, 3, or 4 person. And then the income percent.
Okay, so can you talk to me about, in state statute, as I recall, and without looking it up, there is a state statute that says that if school boards donate surplus property, that we can designate those housing units for critical need personnel. So meaning people who work for our school district, but also to include first responders like people who work through the sheriff's department and the fire department. Has your committee talked about that at all?
We have not got to that point. We have discussed it, but we haven't got to the greater details of that yet. This, from what I understand, the meeting that just took place the first week of December, Marcus was to come back, you know, our group. Adrian and I would have been there, but we weren't there, so it would have been the 3 of us. And to ask you the questions as of right now, preliminary, are these things that we still want to explore as a school board? Do we still want to look into this? And our goal would be, they're meeting in January, and then we're gonna meet again in February as a group. And then we will come back to you with a lot more detailed information in March or April, because this is a 4 to 6 year project. And then you guys will have a lot more information to make decisions on where you would like to move forward with
My
the
feedback
project.
is that I'm interested in having that committee dig into that as an option, where we donate the surplus land and then we get to designate those units for critical need personnel. Because the whole reason we started this conversation is because Adrian's sitting there telling us that that was her number one problem with recruitment and retention. Like, we offer the jobs to people, then they get here and they can't find a place to live. Under the mixed income, or even say the first 2, workforce and affordable, we don't necessarily get to designate those for those critical need personnel. It's anybody who meets that income.
I'm not sure that that's the case, because what I think Mr. Harvey's asking is, if we go down the road, which avenue do we want to take? And then later, we can flesh out the details.
Yes, absolutely. But you're correct on the land piece, and we've talked about that, because you can lease the land, you can title the land, which is what you're basically talking about. But the thought was, when we were talking with Mr. McKinley, was if we were to title the land, we would want a commitment that these units are set aside for
And the question is, legally, can we do
this.
that? That's my question. So when you go back to that income slide,
Mhm.
it's solely determined those affordable and potentially even the workforce units there are solely determined by income. I don't know that by law, we could say discriminate against other people who aren't teachers and say, we're only gonna give those units to teachers. Or
And-
bus drivers or custodians. I don't know if legally we could do that, because it might be it's probably a violation of,
I think we would have to keep property titled
as Jeff was pointing out, in order to do that. If it's not titled,
What do you mean by titled?
means
You know,
we would
giving
hold
it away.
title to it.
so now we're in the real estate business.
Well, yes, but you would also, you could do a 50-year lease, so you're not really in the, at that, and then it,
Kick it down
towards,
to the board 50 years
So
from
at
Well-
this point, what the county wants to know is, are we still interested in?
yes, that's really where we're at right now.
whether it's
These
gonna
are a lot of great questions, but the county's not there yet either.
We're crawling
just-
at this
I'm
point.
interested, but
Yes.
my end goal is units for our employees, and not just teachers.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Well, that was the, and I said that, like, if this isn't, if we can't get a nice amount of projects for us, why would we even be doing this?
Can
you
we
know?
get that legal question answered?
Yes.
Of, you know, would it be discrimination? If it's an affordable housing unit that's based on income, and say we've got 2 applicants, typically the way these things work, and you would know more because you're on the CAB, is typically the way these things work is people get on a waiting list, and there's kind of like a point system, right? And say you have 2 families with the same household income, and one is a teacher, and one is not. I think they have to give them equal.
So when, did you
I-
talk
Like
to
the
the
teacher
people
can get
in,
preference.
did you talk to the people in Orlando?
We've talked, we haven't talked to them yet, because they haven't, scheduled a discussion yet, but we are meeting with the DeSoto group this afternoon.
So in Orlando,
yeah.
They've been down this road and they've done all of this and they have builders that come in and they have a partnership. They made a big presentation at it
Key West as well.
and they do have so many units and nobody knows who's on what income or there's no breakout or anything like that. But when those units open up, those are specifically for the school district, for these school district employees that are under a threshold.
Yes.
The reason I'm
And that's
comfortable
not
with it, Kim,
that's not
is
discriminatory.
our favorite Sue, I've talked with in detail, Monroe County has a very similar
Yeah.
program, what
Angie
she's
Gallen's
saying,
got one.
because they couldn't get anybody in down there because of housing. So there has to be a way, we'll have to make sure we dot the i's and cross the t's, but there has to be a way to accommodate your concerns because it's been done in other districts.
My other big question is, whatever way we go, how deep in the real estate is our district? Because I'm one of these big believers that we should stick to what we know, which is education. We are not in the real estate business.
We all agreed that we did not wanna become landlords, yes, for lack of a better.
So that's like my question, right? If we're, because one time before, somebody from economic development came and talked to me about doing exactly that with the we would commit, like we were gonna be committed that there would, to a certain number of units within this project, which maybe we're not the landlord, but if the unit isn't filled, it was like we were gonna be on the hook for the rent.
Oh,
And
no,
I'm
this
wondering
wasn't
that if you,
like
if you make a commitment for a certain number of units that are gonna be our employees.
I don't know
and then
the
they
answer
don't
to
fill
that.
the unit,
That's a
Are we
real
on the hook
concern,
for
and
that?
I agree that that's gotta be addressed.
Yeah, the DeSoto, from what I understand, the project that's gonna, they're not close yet to breaking ground, but they're in the process. I think it's like 75 units, and I believe from what Mark has told me, there's like 8 or 10 of them are definitely marked for DeSoto County employees, yes, somewhere
School
around there.
district.
School district, from what I was told.
Kind of like the same.
I mean, plus or minus a unit or two, I can't be
So if
exact.
you go back to that, the previous slide, the question is confirm if the district is interested in workforce only, affordable only, or mixed income option. To me, mixed income option would be a good option.
That's the option that we feel would make sense, and your points, Walter, when you said like, you don't know who's living next, cause somebody may have subsidies that's next door to you, you're not all paying the same amount of rent, you know, based off of your income.
So is that kind of where we're headed with?
Well, that's, we're asking you guys, but for builders, from what we've, our initial research is that that makes this more doable. Worthwhile for them, they won't, quite honestly, workforce only, they don't do it. You know, we wouldn't find anybody, because they're no, from what we've already, our preliminary, there's no,
So So does anyone have any concerns about to go into mixed acreage?
No, and I recall in that first meeting, that was one of the things I asked was, please speak with the developers and find out what's gonna make this palatable for them.
Yes.
So if that's what.
And again, we
makes it
have one of those
palatable.
today, one of those happened today.
So the next thing, number 3, is determine if the district is interested in a housing only project for that, just that particular tract, or tract, correct?
Yes, or mixed use. Our feelings are mixed use is not so good, because, maybe, like you could maybe open up a childcare facility, but we kind of feel like we could probably pull it off with some of our existing stuff now, versus doing.
And I think the county can take care of that on
Yeah,
their.
yes, yes.
So a housing only project, so that we can, that's our focus, is
Yes.
really, housing.
Okay,
Yeah, just trying to get my foot out.
my joints are tying up too.
So that,
And that's really all. I mean, we were talking about, let me get to the end here. The survey, right here. Okay, so eventually, moving forward, we would wanna survey our employees to see if this is something that they're truly interested in. So we would, we'd work with Claudette and we'd get a survey going at one point. And obviously, if that data doesn't come back positive, then we wouldn't do this at all. There'd be no reason to do it. Once we get to that point. Yeah,
So,
because it did come up in discussion, everybody, right now, rent is low again right now. So there's really not a, lower, but it's not. It's much more affordable now than it was. It's $400 less than a year ago.
two bedrooms
like
down to about
2,000 before.
They're going down, but that does, as we all know, that changes, so the survey today may not reflect what it was 2 years ago when we were having these discussions, so it just.
But this place would have the amenities, like
Oh, yeah,
the pool.
we'd have stuff.
It's supply and demand, that was one thing that we always said is when we were having that crunch on the housing, we didn't have enough supply, and now we've got all these complexes going up. I mean, they got the one on Turkish Grade, I think there's more going in.
One on Loveland.
Yeah,
Right, and again, I may learn more on the planning and zoning board, but what little I've found is everything that's being built still is not bringing young families into the area. It's still retirees that are coming. And, this would be geared for young families, if they're moving here. And that's also part of the
job.
equation. You gotta have the jobs to get them to move here.
There's always gonna be a market for this, though.
I believe so, but this would be, the survey would be down the road a little bit. And then we'd get the feedback and we would share it with you guys and decide where we wanna go from there.
All right, we're all agreed that,
Personally,
All right,
thank you, Mr. Harper.
thank you.
Okay, next, the consortium.
Everybody read that book? Just, yeah. Way too much to ever accomplish, but,
Wait a minute, I need to pause. Mr. Superintendent, do we have any discussion?
I apologize. Went right by you, Mark, it's just the way I am.
All right.
Any questions on the consortium? I mean, it was just not a fun time.
So we only.
This
we
is on
only
the
talking
federal,
about the
this is
federal,
only
or we talking
federal.
about-
Yeah,
Because
well,
the
the
state's
fed-
already
We
been
already
approved.
approved the other
Yeah,
one, right?
this one, and again,
This is the first
It's a
time they're
mirror.
doing a federal,
Yes.
This
correct?
is a mirror of COSPA. I don't really know why we're reduplicating the wheel. I mean, are we now gonna be, my only thought was, the membership in this organization has done a lot. Previously, this organization has not gotten involved in federal.
this is primarily one particular member of the consortium that's pushed for this.
Is she
Wing.
the one who's gonna be taking, I mean, is our membership gonna be paying the consortium lobbyists now to go to DC and lobby for these issues?
Consortium lobbyists. Well, obviously, the consortium will determine how their fees are, how our fees are going to be utilized. They always have. It's not been a real transparent issue, but I know of none of the, I've not heard from any of the lobbyists that they intend to be in DC, is all I can say.
And that seems like a duplication of efforts,
Right.
honestly, because I've been on the trip with Martha, where we do all of this.
I do
Personally,
not-
I found it very frustrating.
I do not
my perception is that the lobbyists that they currently have aren't that comfortable with
Federal?
DC, federal as opposed to state. They're much more comfortable in the state forum. So I think they would have to come back and look for perhaps the appointment of someone else. And they would need to do that within the consortium itself. And it hasn't been done to date.
So what is the goal of this then?
I think the goal is that Sue believes, for lack of a better, believes that we're not being very effective overall with any of our lobbyists with Tallahassee, and they're trying to get more support federally.
You think she's gonna get more support in Washington DC?
I don't think she's getting any.
The consortium is just, it's, the way I look at it, it's just another, voice up there. Just like we have the consortium has a voice up in Tallahassee. And the consortium is just gonna have a voice in Washington DC. Maybe some of those other people have different relationships. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I don't look at it as a negative one way or the other.
I guess I'm neutral on it, I'm ambivalent about it. I'm ambivalent about this federal platform. You know, the consortium is not a large membership fee. I asked Marcos, do you know how much it is now? It's only 3? Okay. Mostly because it's subsidized by all the sponsors. The way I view the consortium, like and by the way, the last meeting, only Wendy and I went. As a majority here, we all put our time and effort into FSBA. We really don't put our time and effort into Greater Florida, the majority of us.
Yeah, I'm the one that would ordinarily be the consortium, but when it's only a Thursday night meeting in December, it does not merit your expenses for me to drive up there for what they do. At
You
that
just made
meeting-
my point.
At that meeting, I don't agree with the August meeting. The August meeting, I feel entirely different about. But that December meeting, which is just setting up the dates for going to Tallahassee, et cetera, is an entirely different situation.
And the consortium is basically Miami-Dade. That's what it is.
I know.
It's Miami-Dade, and we're all going along with what Miami-Dade wants.
Well, we have an ultimate veto power if we don't like it, and I like being included in that group when we go to Tallahassee and say we're part of 51% of the voting populace as part of that group, and we're talking to all of the legislators, is what I like.
If I had to choose between Greater Florida and the small districts, I would choose small districts. It's you said to me in 2017, and I will never forget, you said it was a sacred cow. So
This is, so
It's
what
yours.
they're asking us to do is there anything on here
We can't live with.
that we can't live
It's the
without?
same thing as COSMED, it's the same thing as FSBA that we've already approved.
Okay, so then, is it, we'll move forward with it tonight, correct? Okay, all right. Baker policy?
So if you have a meeting tomorrow morning, so after tomorrow's meeting, everything will be uploaded to board docs.
And then Thursday's the best, is it tomorrow? Thursday's the best day of the year, Baker.
Christmas cheer.
Yes, Christmas cheer at Baker Center, I think 1:30, I'll make sure to double check the time on that.
Hopefully my kids will call me grandpa.
You don't like it?
They call me the teacher's grandpa.
All right, anybody need a tentative workshop? No?
I do not, I have for January's workshop PM2 data, priority 4 and referendum to talk about now. Again, I believe those are the 3 topics.
And if that one runs real long, I may have to take my race early because I have a 1:30 zoning and planning meeting that day, so.
In the meantime, we're going to reach out to Ms. Trace.
I will do that. I'll do
Okay.
that this afternoon.
All right.
And then I'll touch base with Marcia Coleman, just make sure we're all on the same page.
Maybe we'll touch base with Marcia first, so she's not blindsided. And then reach out.
That'll be.
All right.
All right, thank you, Mr. Superintendent, and thank you, Ms. Vice Chair.